welcome. I'm Dan McDermott, your humble host. Welcome to Google Plus Week. Great to have you with us. We have a wonderful panel tonight. We have a couple guests who are gracious enough to join us here. I'm just going to start in alphabetical order. We have Mr. Alan Furstenberg, my co-host. Alan, welcome, as always.
Always great to be here, Dan.
We have Mr. Craig Shipp, who is here representing the obscure folks. We have
Hangout10.com.
Indeed. He's on the road, sitting near you. We have Mr. Harold Carey. Harold, welcome, as always.
Navajo People Community?
Absolutely. Join the Navajo People community. We have Mr. Jeff Zayas. Welcome, Jeff.
Well, thank you. View on the Market. Here we go.
He's the founder of the San Francisco Air Show.
Exactly. You know, fight the FFA. Power the people.
Michael Ellis is here.
Hello,
from too many things.
Sigma Phi Epsilon.
Oh, okay, cool, awesome. We have Moritz. I don't know how to pronounce your last name. I try every time. You know, what's a guy to do?
It's okay. I'm just Moritz.
Moritz. We have Pam. Welcome, Pam.
Hi.
And from California and in Chris Christie's state, the state where even Democrats like their governor, is Sreek Menon, who's a big Chris Christie fan, which is very surprising if you've read any of his posts. Okay, we also have Fraser Kane. Fraser, welcome, and I appreciate you. We're delayed, and you didn't have time, and you stuck around, so I do appreciate it. So we got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about communities, and we're going to have sort of a debate at the end of this thing. But I wanted it because I know you can't stick around. So can you tell us what your thoughts are about the new rollout of communities?
Can you tell us a little bit about communities? And
sure, yeah. Okay, so in case you've been living under a rock, Google Plus rolled out this new piece of functionality called Communities, and so the way this works is it's kind of like Google Groups, it's kind of like Facebook Groups. It's a place where people that share an interest can come together and talk about that thing without, I guess, polluting the circles. They're regular circles, and so if you have a whole bunch of different interests, you can go into those specific communities and talk about them. And it's something that all of us, all of the power users of Google Plus, we have all been begging Google for something like this right from day one, because it's this big complaint that when people join Google Plus, they say it's a ghost town because none of their friends are here. But there's all these people that want to talk about the things that interest them. So this is this deep investment into the interest graph as opposed to the social graph. It's a great move, and so it just got rolled out like yesterday, and it's been a complete zoo on Google Plus for the last couple of days. and everybody has been rushing out. They've been setting up their communities. They've been fighting spammers. And then also begging for features and functionalities to the communities, and in fact a bunch of those features are just rolling out like right now. There's like 4 new pieces of functionality that have come out. So yeah, it's been a busy couple of days. That's all I've been doing is just sitting and trying to stop my space community from exploding.
Okay, Fraser, you're kind of a bigwig on here. You've got how many followers?
Out of 570,000.
Okay, so you're in Moritz category. Tell me how many, because I was doing my notifications today, and we all had a dramatic spike, much worse than events. Well, maybe not. I don't know. In the notifications, and some of these are obscure. Fans of Indian cricket. I mean, that's totally cool. You know what I'm saying? But I don't understand the game. But so we're getting all these things. I was doing my notifications. I was telling Alan, I went through 15. When you go to notifications, you have 15, right? The ticker would click up way past 15 while I was on one thing. So there's like hopeless to try to figure it out. What kind of?
I went out for a workout.
What is it like on your scale? I'm curious.
Oh God, I went out for a workout this morning. So I left around 9:30. I came back at 10:30, and I had 85 notifications. So 1 hour, I got 85 notifications.
Now, and in addition to that, since you're the community moderator for Space, that means you get to do what does that entail?
So what happens is if you're a community moderator, and I don't recommend that you become one unless you're seriously committed to investing the time that's going to take to stay on top of the community, because the spammers will show up and they will attempt to sort of post their stuff into your community. So what you do as a moderator is you set up the community, you pick your picture, pick the tagline for the community, you pick the categories that people are going to be posting in, and then you invite people into the community. And then it's your job to kick back and actually sort of filter through the posts that are happening and remove the ones that are clearly spam, or approve ones that are maybe false positive that the system caught, and then otherwise let the ones go that you think are appropriate, and then jump in and participate and theoretically add other moderators to help you out. So it feels very much like a discussion forum, except that stuff doesn't stick around. And I think this is part of one of the issues that I'm sure is going to have to get resolved, is that it's just this fire hose of content that's pouring down, and stuff is gone very quickly. And so there aren't a lot of conversations. There's just people posting, in my case, a lot of space-related stuff into the stream, and it's all just sort of sinking down pretty quickly.
Well, at least it's space-related stuff in your
Well,
forum.
no,
I mean, that's
what
part
I've
of the
done
benefit.
with it, after I've gone at it with a chainsaw, yeah, then it's space-related.
One real quick question: when you say it's gone, it's still there. People have to dig deep to find it, or search. Can they search, keyword search a community?
Yes, they can. They can.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but they could find it that way fairly easily, couldn't they?
They
people-
can, but they want to come and browse the community, and then they see the post, and the point is, if each post is like, since we started this recording, I've got 6 new posts in the community. So
everything moves so fast, you can't even. No one has any conversations or anything. I think, Fraser, my recommendation to you would be to have sub communities. I mean,
or sub communities, Pam.
or categories.
More categories that dissect it more and more and more. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just has to
crazy.
settle down. We're just we're just in the very early days of this. That there weren't a lot of communities set up initially. People are sharing and resharing stuff, and people are just kind of going a little crazy right now. So, I see this as a marathon, not a sprint. I'm just going to keep plugging away, solving the problems, trying to make the best community that I can, and we'll see where we're at in a couple of months, right?
Fraser, have you noticed that most users are just posting and leaving the default category, like the first one, without selecting the proper category?
Yep.
That happens a lot. So I tried and moved like a different category to the top, and then all the new posts were in this category.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So, this is one feature I'm really missing, that you're able to move posts to different category.
Yeah.
Because that's what moderators are there for.
I'm sure that'll come.
Try to structure the whole conversations a bit more and move everything to the right categories.
Is it because we are waiting for users to actually attain a certain level of maturity in terms of how to use the community, or is it just because the initial rush?
Well, I think it's a bunch of things. I mean, even on historic communities, people would just end up posting in the wrong place, and the UI in this one is just not conducive to doing that right.
I think in about 2 weeks everything will settle down. You were able to see that in the past. Whenever Google released a new feature, if it was sharing from the Play Music stuff, or if it was events or whatever, your stream was flooded with posts about this new feature, and users were trying it out. And the same is with the communities right now. Yeah. You see communities popping out everywhere, and in about 2 weeks, the good ones will stay, the bad ones will die, and then your community starts to grow and to develop. And
well, Fraser had an interesting comment earlier this evening, and we're going to get into this much more later. Wondering and worrying, and it's a worry that I have as well, about whether even good communities are going to die just because of the way things are structured. And I think we're going to start seeing some of that, but we'll talk about.
Yeah, right. So sure. So my big concern was, when they had the Sparks idea a long time ago, and then they had the saved searches functionality. Like, I don't know about you folks, but I set up a bunch of saved searches and then never looked at them again, because you just don't. Like, if stuff doesn't move excuse me, into your mainstream, you're just not going to see it. And so my concern with the communities was that if the posts that are happening in the communities that you follow aren't coming back and getting into your mainstream, they're just going to get forgotten. They're all going to die on the vine, because you're looking at the notification button, you're looking at your mainstream, but you're not actually going to go into each one of those communities and going to go, okay, what's new, right? And so there needs to be some way to sort of surface these posts into the mainstream, and so that you keep getting reminded, I did join the craft brew community, here's a wonderful recipe about craft brew beer, I'm so glad I joined that community, oh, and I'm going to make a post to comment on this recipe.
I phrase it in terms of pushing versus pulling. The model that we're seeing right now is very much a pull model, but that means I've got to go into the pull. What I kind of expected, right, I'm not going to, simply because it's not there. What I was expecting more of was something that's going to be delivered to me on a silver platter.
Oh,
let me ask you a question while we wait for Alan, whose beloved Chromebox or whatever he's it's a beta tested version. Fraser, I know you talked about this earlier today. Tell me about the only complaint I had was I was unable to, if I wanted to share a post, then I would share that post to the community. It would show up it would show up in my posts on my page, right? But it wouldn't show up to anyone who circled me.
Yeah.
Now, is that, obviously, if it's a private community, child abuse victims, hemorrhoid sufferers, you wouldn't want that, right? Sorry, that was for Pam. The second one.
That's not my community.
I know, but you're just a member. You're not a moderator even. So anyway, tell me, Fraser, now how does it work? If it's a public, it shows up, but it said selected. I'm not sure. Because what I found myself doing was, if I had a gem that I wanted to put in the tech thing, or a big Google Plus news, breaking news or something, then I was posting it twice. I was sharing it to the community. I keep wanting to say group. I was sharing it to the community, and then I was sharing it from the community. I was resharing it in public. So if someone, it's fine for my stream, for people who follow me, but if someone comes to my thing, they're seeing all these double posts. So tell us what the status of that is.
Yeah, well, I think that's right. So this was a big post that I did today, and I was sort of begging Google to get those posts from the communities back into the stream, because that's going to be the way that people are going to discover and maintain these connections with these communities that they've joined. Now, obviously, if you signed up to the photography stream or even the space community, it would be this fire hose of content that you would leave that community right away. So there needs to be some kind of intelligent algorithm that's happening. So based on what you're seeing today, the way this works right now is that if you make a post into a community, it is not shared to the people who have you in circles, right? So it does not act like a public post.
Right.
It acts like a public post in that it's searchable, in that it's indexable, that anybody can look at it, but it's only located within that community. Now, if someone goes and looks at your profile and clicks on the post tab, then they're going to see the posts that you've been making to these communities, but they're not going to get them if they just have you in circles. And so then what's happening is then say if they have the community that you're in their circle, or they've joined that community as well, then by circuitous route, they're going to see that your posts come back into their stream. So, and I think that's exactly how it should work. I mean, you can see people second guessing this feature already, right? They're posting in their main stream, they're just posting to their public, and then they're going into communities and they're reposting that same thing into multiple communities, and that's a bad thing. And I've been removing people's posts that have been doing that, because I just think you got to commit, either post to your circles publicly or post into a community, but if you're going to multiply the number of places your post appears, then that's missing the point of the whole system. So
you think it should be not at all, or you think it should be like Reddit, where 90% of the time you don't do it, but 10% of the time you do? In other words, if I had a breaking news story, about Google Plus, right? I would want to post it to the tech news community I created. I'd probably want to post it in the Google Plus thing that they asked us to post to, and I'd want to post it publicly. Is that wrong, or you just shouldn't shoot it all the time, or what? I don't know.
I think it's situational in every case. I mean, for example, look at photographers. They're going to be posting to a photography community. That's great. That makes sense. But if I'm following a photographer, I'm following them because I want to see their work. I don't want to see 5,000 other photographers. I want to see 2 or 3 specific photographers. So it makes sense that a photographer would share the same photo to both places, and possibly to have all of us commenting on it.
Well, certainly, what Fraser's talking about is multiple communities. Certainly, it's nothing wrong with. I mean, I want to share.
Well, no, I'm not talking about multiple communities. I'm talking about people sharing a post publicly and then resharing that post into a community.
So you don't think that you should post it publicly and into a community?
I think it's situation, just like what Alan said. I think it depends on the situation. If you're trying to increase the awareness of the post that you're making, then I don't think that's the right way to go about it. But if you're going to say something that is both really important to the people who are circling you, as well as to the specific community, then I think it does make sense. But it might even be worth rephrasing what you're doing to be a little bit more direct to the community.
Well, if you're holding an event, right, you wanted to have that event posted in the community and posted in your circles, it makes sense to do it. That's a great situation to kind of do that.
Well,
exactly.
What if?
But I'm seeing people just post a news article that they found that they liked, and they just posted it in their public, and then they reshared it into the community. And my feeling is, you picked a great space story, post it into the space community because that's that's what it's kind of for, and I can just or vice versa, right? If you just want people to follow your public posts, then by all means keep it out of the space community. But once,
well, Fraser, let me disagree with you, because if I have a great tech post, okay, I post about tech, politics, news, and funny stuff sometimes, and whatever random thing. Today I posted an obituary about a spider. Just because I'm a journalist.
That was tech news.
Great, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. It was great. Anything that interests me, I post. I feel sorry for people who follow me and few other people because I spam their whole stream. But anyway, here's my question: if I start a new community, like I started Tech News, and earlier today I had 30. I imagine it has more now. 30 members, and I want to fill that up with some posts and promote it, but then at the same time, I don't want that post to be denied. I don't want to just have it lost to 30 people when it could reach 60,000 people or whatever, you know what I mean, on the mainstream, especially a new community. Yes. And there's nothing wrong with multiple communities. If, like, you're a photographer, you post regularly the photographer, my great shots, but it happens to be a great shot of the Taj Mahal, maybe there's another community of great Indian pictures you'd want to share to both communities. Does that make sense?
It totally does, but I think this is a situation of people not trusting the infrastructure for the community yet, and so that people are going to make that exact same decision. They're going to say, okay, I could post, like for me, I could post an article to my mainstream and have it read by 570,000 people, or I can post it to the community and it will disappear in 30 seconds. So which is the more valuable place for me to post? Obviously, it's in my pub as a public circle, but at the same time, I think people are going to have to commit to using the community structure for what it's going to become, not what it is today. And so I think right now a lot of people are doing this double posting because they just don't trust it.
Because there's no audience yet. We're just starting it out.
And so the only way to build an audience is to commit to it.
But what's wrong with if you post it in the community? Is it currently showing up if you post it to an open community, okay? If you post directly to that community, it shows up on your profile. Does it show up in the stream of your people who have circled you?
No.
See, I don't like that, because we disagree on this, because that's a great way to promote the community.
Yes,
for sure.
But how else will people find out about the community?
Because you can post in your stream that you're active over in that community, right?
Or you can invite people that
you can invite people into the
community. Yeah. Exactly.
But again, I think this is here we are.
So now we're supposed to do a second post describing.
Dan, here's the other angle to that, though. If I'm constantly posting to both the community and to my public stream, why would anyone go join the community?
Exactly.
That's true. If it's a community that only you post to, that's true. If you, me, Fraser, Craig, Pam, on and on, all post, the funniest tech stories to the funny tech stories community.
Right. I think the answer is it really is a situational thing. Certainly when a community is getting started, that kind of thing makes sense. For some people, that makes sense. I think as a whole, though, I think in the long run, we're not talking a month from now, we're talking a year from now. I think cross posts like that should be, not that they will be, but they should be a lot rarer. Yeah. Simply because this has become part of the infrastructure, part of how we do things.
So should we do part Fraser, of the problem, like the last night, the Apple CEO Tim Cook did his first televised interview since taking over Apple from Steve Jobs. He was on NBC's Rock Center, is it called? That wonderful show that no one watches, which is sad because it's actually a really good show. And Brian Williams is, of course, excellent. But there was so what we should do is like post maybe like have different posts, like one post of the entire video, and then post in your stream.
No, and I think
them or what should we do?
No, I think the problem is that we're still stuck with the baggage of where we've gotten to here 18 months down the road. So we've all got these huge followings, and so we're feeling really nervous to step away from those big followings to embrace this community. But the reality is that if I wanted to post about all the different topics that I really love, that's mountain biking, that's Google+, that's food, it's cooking, it's all of these different topics, and as active as I want to be, I'm going to piss off any one of my communities. And so I'm the space guy because that's what I've been pigeonholed into here on Google+. Because
a TV commercial.
But that's all I can talk about it. If I talk about anything else actively, as much as I enjoy talking about those things, I'm going to lose followers.
Right? But don't you think that Google is just trying to aggregate all this stuff for you by creating all these? We're going to have all these different communities, and then you can be following each one of them, and it kind of aggregates it back. Eventually,
what's going to happen? What's going to happen is that people are not going to be able to keep up. They're either going to spend their whole day on the tech community or they're going to spend their whole day on the space community, and people like me who post on everything from hairy men to neuroscience are going to
in that order.
But listen, I can't spend my day on 12 communities. I just want to be on
what it is today is not what it's going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow you might be able to say, okay, I want this discussion group of this community.
But I want to talk to you, Jeff. I don't want to talk.
I know. I'm just saying, but it's going to be more like a forum in a type arrangement. It's going to evolve into that, where then you pick and choose what discussions you want to be part of and be notified of. So you don't have to follow the whole discourse. You can follow whatever subsection of that community you want to.
You're going to be able to mix and match this any way you want, but the bottom line is that if you just want to make general posts that are kind of good for anybody to follow you and they're just going to get a sense of who you are as a person, then don't join any communities. And if you want to go all out and really participate in a Walking Dead conversation or a live viewing of The Walking Dead and really engage with the other people that love it, then go crazy in that Walking Dead community. But you're not going to annoy your friends and family because all you're doing is talking about Walking Dead for the next 3 days. So that's the value of this.
I guess we're in the stage where this is new. We have to figure it out.
Yeah. But it's going to require commitment from people, and that's what I think. I'm seeing a lot of people are being really tentative. They don't want to lose their following on that they've built up over time.
So I've got to add one thing
to build up the community.
I have to run myself, but I got to add one thing to what Fraser just said. It's only been like 24 hours, so we're still all trying to those of us that are not focused on this day for the entire day, when it came out. I'm still trying to figure out if I should have grabbed this name or that name before someone else takes it from me.
Well, no one's going to take the names.
There are no names. You can't get any names. There's no custom URLs or anything. So we're back to that same problem where you could end up with 15 space.
But I'm concerned with how do I balance out all the investment I've made in the page I have and now a community seems to be quite similar. And I don't know, and I don't have enough guidance yet about how to decide.
There's no way to know. You just got to jump in and just get grinding. Like, how am I going to know how this is going to work out? I just know that I'm going to stick at it, and I'm going to be here a year later when everybody else is tired. And
I agree with that, but I'm just trying to make the right first choice. It's so difficult to get a community off the ground. If you have 500,000 people, it's not such a big deal. They're going to follow you. You're going to post to them. I'm starting with a fledgling group of 200, and I don't want to lose the 200 it took me 6 months to get.
But we all started that way, right?
Yeah.
Like I started with nobody here on Google Plus and just built it up incrementally. All of the things that I did, you just do it, and then you build it up.
Jealous or something? That's not what I meant. But
no.
It's about trying to weigh the investment I have to make, and I don't want to lose the people I already got after clawing and scratching to bring them in. I don't want to lose them by saying, oh, by the way, now there's a new shiny object around the corner. Let's go follow that for a while.
Michael, isn't it more? Michael, isn't it more about of your followers who are interested in this subset of things I post about? Those of you who are interested in that, let's build this new community. You know, it's about discovery.
I've got to run.
Fraser, we had two quick quotes that were to you that I want to cover here quickly before you go. The first is, Fraser Cain, I've increased your volume in my stream because it seems that you get it, referring to your appearance on this show tonight. The number crunchers and their ceaseless anxiety really unnerve me, and unfortunately I hope that's not directed at Michael. And then finally we had this post much earlier this evening, which we're going to talk about more later, and that was Vic saying to you, we have a few surprises in store for you.
Yeah. And those are the new features that just got rolled out, I think. Or maybe there's more stuff, too. But anyway.
That's what they're going to do, Fraser, for I.O. In 2013. They're going to shoot you into space. See, they have the top. It's the opposite of this year. See, it's
I got to run.
Thank you, Fraser.
Very much, Dan, for having me.
Our apologies to your family or friends or whoever you...
Yeah, no problem. I'll see you guys all later.
All right. Fraser actually has a life and is going to go pursue it.
Dan, a quick question to you. If you have this tech news community which you started and it's like 3 months, and if you're going to post a tech question or a tech news question, 3 months from now, let's say there are 1,000 people in your tech community, would you like to post it publicly or rather to get a better response in the tech community itself?
We've got a large block that we're going to talk about all of this stuff later.
Let's tease this because we're figuring it out and we got a lot to talk about and we're going to get into it. But let's get into some other stuff and then we're going to get back into communities.
Plus, I want to tell everyone what the name of my 2 new communities are.
We'll talk about our communities later.
Have your kids leave the room for Pam's announcement.
And I want to remind everybody that we are taking your comments on YouTube. I've got a whole bunch queued up when we get back to the community discussion later. So I haven't forgotten you. We've got them saved. We'll get to them again in a bit.
We promise.
But first, some really, really important news from the rest of the week.
Okay, some really incredible numbers, and I'm just going to throw them out there and give my thoughts and then see what Alan and the rest of you guys think. Facebook's a little over 1 billion now, right? Is that accurate?
I think they're saying 1.1 billion. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how many are active. How many are just accounts? Like I was circled once by the llama. It was a picture of a llama.
Who cares about that? Dan, who cares about them? Get to the numbers we care about.
Indeed. Okay, Google Plus, over 500 million users. 235 million of them active, and 135 million are using the Google plus.google.com, because you could you can respond to something in Gmail or all these, YouTube, whatever, now, and so 235 million or 135 million are actually in plus.google.com actively, like we are, and then a quarter billion sounds bigger than 235 million. Over a quarter billion are active and using whatever thing, Gmail, whatever, or plus, and then, but 500 million, I think that's pretty impressive. So we've come a long way, right? What was our last announcement? It was...
it's impressive if you believe the numbers.
I believe 135 million worldwide are actively using the plus.google.com, Craig. If you
I'm
worldwide.
not buying it.
Worldwide?
No, I'm not buying it. No, because I don't see a huge increase in activity over even, let's say, the last 6 months. I mean, it seems pretty much status quo to me. And real world people, again, very few that I run into are using Google Plus, real world people. It's mostly
Do you think
the
that will
same
change
old
with
peeps.
communities if you had if you created a Frederick County community and had
I just
Not a
did.
chance.
Yeah, I just did, and 6 people joined it, and I'm going to promote it on Facebook and probably get another account shut down in Facebook for doing so, and I'll see if I can get them to come over. But until, I keep saying, until we get them to come over from Facebook, you know, we can't have the kind of activity that you're talking about.
What other numbers we got, Alan?
Those are the big numbers. I think the other major one was that the growth that they're doing month over month is roughly what Facebook's was at this time in their life. So they're growing about as fast as Facebook was. In an interview that Vic had yesterday, and we'll get to more of the interview later, Danny Sullivan asked him, so how does this match your expectations? And he said, well, I had a very, very aggressive forecast, which nobody in their right mind thought that we would be at. And he said his number was 400 million across Google Plus enabled accounts by the end of 2012. And they've blown that, according to their numbers. So even, they think it's doing better than they originally anticipated.
You know, it's funny. I just I got this. I won't say who. We're getting such mixed feedback, and I'd like to get your comments if you're watching. If it's people who know us, they don't like it. If it's people who don't know us, they do like it. We've switched to a new format. We used to the live hangout on air would have the thumbnails underneath the people, and I hit the wrong button. Now it's full screen with the produced version, and we're getting really, really negative criticism. And I just got this comment. I want to throw it out there. It just as an aside.
This is the one from Carol?
Yeah. You want to put it up there?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Alan.
I'd really like to know how you can hold a hangout that does not look like the usual hangout stream. It's fantastic watching this and the way Dan is in the main screen and you have that background. And as you point out, I could go dig for it, but we have had comments, quite a few comments, from some of our regular followers saying they miss the film strip at the bottom.
Every comment, though, has been from someone who's been in it and knows us well. Every negative comment. The people who don't know us, who are viewers, or know us from commenting only, a lot of them like it. I would say it's about 50-50 the responses.
Dan, what would be the downside to having this hangout also be a hangout on air? So they could have their cake and eat it too?
I don't know. I kind of want the produced version out there, but we're experimenting, so I'm not 100% like do or die. Let me.
It would be the same account for both Hangouts on air that might conflict.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You can join two, but I don't think. Yeah, you can't start two. I could use a fake account, but that would be weird. But anyway, so I'm curious if you want to. How I do it is, it's a very complicated setup, which is why we're late tonight. Because I got a late start. It's a good 45 minutes to get everything functioning. You got to start this player, this computer, this thing. But I use Wirecast because I don't have a producer. If I had a producer, I could be like in the shower getting ready, and they make it all happen, and we're good to go. And I'm almost on time every week. But this is a money-sucking hole, so I'm not going to hire a producer for it. So anyway, I use Wirecast to do this. If you Google Wirecast is one word, you'll find out what we do. And but anyway, I'm curious if you guys want to comment on do you like the old way, just seeing the actual raw hangout, or do you like this? Please feel free to chime in, and we will read your comments. Okay, so any other numbers, Alan? I apologize for...
That's okay. Those are the big ones. I mean, we have this comment from Margie, for example, who agrees with Craig. Note this date down well. She doesn't buy the numbers about Google+. She also thinks they're inflated. So
now I do want to say one thing. I did hear people talking about some of the kids are starting to use Hangouts, and if this is true, if they're starting to use Hangouts, private Hangouts now, to hang out with their friends, and if that starts spreading through their community. All the kids start sharing it and all. That's how this thing could explode.
Yeah.
And I've been saying that since day one when they had the age restrictions and all that. I said, hey, Google, what the hell are you thinking? How are you going to get everybody if you can't get the kids?
Oh, well, it's obvious what they were thinking. They were thinking they didn't want to get sued. But beyond that, the other interesting stat, and again, we'll talk more about Vic's meeting later. One of the other things he said is he again reinforced the fact that, in fact, he said over 50% of the activity that they're seeing is taking place only in circles. So no private posts. So, while all of us may be used to private posts.
You mean no public posts?
Yeah, no public posts. Yeah. So all of us may be very used to public posts.
Did he say anything about the demographics, the age groups? Did he
did not.
Okay.
He was, which is interesting because he was talking to marketers at the time.
Well, Craig, I got to, and Alan, I don't think these numbers are far-fetched at all. What they're saying is that in the entire world, private and public, and I guess in a month, right, Alan? This would be monthly?
These are people who return to it at least once a month.
Yeah. Craig, it's not at all far-fetched to say that 135 million people in a month, at least once, go to plus.google.com and either read or post privately or publicly or whatever.
Or hang out,
I don't think that is at all a stretch. Or they could use on their phone. I don't think
right,
135 million worldwide
usage.
with billions and billions. Fraser left. I don't think that's at all. You still?
Well,
you
I guess if you're just talking about one time, coming
once a
and
month.
doing something.
That's the standard monthly, uniques.
Yeah, it's possible. But see, what I'm comparing it to is I always use Facebook as the benchmark because as you know, I post my content to both platforms, and I'm just saying I haven't seen any real improvement on the performance of Google Plus, which is basically 0 for my content. Now, again, my content is very targeted to, local community, but it gets a ton of activity on Facebook and 0 on Google Plus, and I haven't seen any change in that. So I'm not seeing that John Q. Public is coming over. Now, 135 million, maybe that's techies worldwide, and that's people like us, and so okay, I could probably buy that.
Okay, and an update, 2 good comments again, Alan. Gary Levin, who knows us all well and is on the show, or is on the show now, although I don't think his video's working. He says, I don't like the HOA without the film strip. And then Tessa, who we have not met but is a viewer and commenter, I guess, she says, I like not having the thumbnail. So I think that's what it is, Alan. I think it's the folks who actually hang out with us, who choose not to know us, and have been on the show before, prefer, to see all the people. It's funny. I don't know. I think it's really breaking down that way. It's really interesting. So anyway, keep those comments going. We're reading every comment, and
we are reading every comment. We really do care about what you say, even if we don't post all of them to the show.
Okay, so are we good on numbers?
I think we're good on Well, we're good on those numbers, but we have more numbers.
Oh, what do you got? Because I gotta jot the time down here, Alan. I've got to.
Speaking of numbers, you have to jot the time down. Okay.
38:30. All right.
We have more numbers, and these numbers have to do with Android this time. We've been tracking over the past few months and here's Dan's
beautiful Note 2, which has split screen.
And what is that running, Dan?
It's running Android Jelly Bean.
Is that 4.1 or 4.2?
I will tell you as you speak. I will look.
It is 4.1, Dan.
Yeah, it's 4.1.
Is it 4.1?
It's 4.1.
But you know what? It's Android Jelly Bean Plus. It's got cool stuff you don't have on your phone. For example,
He can break his audio again.
All right, I can. Let's say I'm watching a YouTube video and I want to send an email about it or whatever I'm doing. Right? I can open YouTube up in my phone. All right. And then I can, oh my God, how much, this flip thing I don't like. There That's me. All right, so I've got this thing playing. Okay, and then I can open this up, and I can open Chrome up, and I have multitasking. Oh my God. Okay, I don't know what the hell I did.
Can you send it through Livecast? Can you send the phone through Livecast?
Okay.
Yeah, so I have both. You got a split screen. I got Gmail. I got Chrome down here, right?
You have to hold the phone higher.
Hold the phone a little higher, Dan.
Sorry, I got Chrome on the bottom, and I got YouTube on the top, and I can put any app. So I have two screens. It's just like a computer with two screens set up.
I can do that on my Nexus 4 too. You know.
It's hard to be the man. You can do it on your Nexus 4?
I sure can.
Well,
you can do split screen on Nexus. Anyway, the big info that came out. We got the monthly usage reports, and we now know that Jelly Bean has a whopping 6.7% of the Android market. So that means 6.7% of all of the Androids that are out there are running Jelly Bean, and of that, a massive 0.8 are running the new version of Jelly Bean. Which means that's 0.8 of the Android machines out there are a Nexus 4, a Nexus 7, a Nexus 10, or a Galaxy Nexus. So that gives you an idea of just how popular these machines are, despite the fact that they're flying off the shelf.
Well, how many machines are there?
We don't know. That number they don't give us.
Are you including Nokia and BlackBerry, Alan?
No, we're only talking Android machines.
My smartphone could not run.
Right, your phone is probably back running Gingerbread.
No, it's a Hummingbird or something.
Honeycomb.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, well, what we do know is Honeycomb, I believe, is now down to something like 1% of the market. Yeah, actually, it's 1.6% of the machines currently running are running Honeycomb.
And it runs great.
Good. The other thing we know, though, is Gingerbread, which was the dominant version before Honeycomb, and is on tons and tons of smartphones, still has over 50% of the market. So of all the Android phones out there, over half of them are running an operating system that's something like 2.5 years old. So, keep that in mind. Jelly Bean adoption is slowly getting there, very slowly getting there. And this old version is still massively dominating the market. But it's always interesting to see the numbers every month when they come out.
Okay, I got a thing I want to offshoot on this. Microsoft, a desperate, sleazy company whose products I'm using on 3 computers here. It upset me, Alan. They're in this fairsearch.org group, just whiny and pathetic, and complaining that they can't build a search engine as well as Microsoft. So they went to Twitter, and they encouraged folks to use the hashtag #DroidRage.
Wasn't that funny?
It was hysterical. It was an epic failure. So they wanted people to describe their malware horror stories using the hashtag #DroidRage. And let's go to the panel and it is let's get Harold in here. I screwed up.
Oh, he's got some stats. Actually, let me see if I can.
Can you read my stats?
What you got there? Oh, you got. Let's see. What do you got there, Harold? Tell us.
This is the stats on my website. The number one use of mobile devices: Apple iPad 1,800, iPhone 1,700, iPod 238, Motorola 135, and then some Samsung Galaxy 249.
Are you on a Windows machine?
Oh no, this is my website.
Are you on a Windows computer?
Yes. Yeah,
Hit Control Plus a couple times for me and bring that up a little bit.
All right. I'll bring it down a little so you can see it a little bit better.
Yeah, and maybe make your window kind of 16:9 so it shows up better.
Okay.
Not to be.
Producer?
Right. Because it's not filling the screen right. Okay, go ahead. Let me go back to Harold. Well, describe this again.
Yeah, so it basically is the visitors to my website on mobile devices. You'll notice that the huge amount of Apple iPad, iPhone, iPod takes up a huge majority. The closest, the one that we have is the Galaxy, which is 49 visits, as opposed to the iPad, 1,899 visits.
So that's more.
Yeah, the iPad, iPhone, iPod.
Wait a minute. What's the Droid Razor? The Droid Incredible? What are we talking here?
I don't know. This is how Google puts it down in Google Analytics. This is Google Analytics.
I mean, you jumped right down to the Samsung. I'm just pointing out that you did have a couple of others up there.
Well, I don't know what this Motorola is. What is
that? It's a phone.
It's a Droid Razor.
The Razor. Oh, the Razor. Yes. Okay. I didn't know you could actually browse the web on the Razor.
Oh yes.
Wow. Okay, so the Navajo people are diehard Apple fans.
Yes.
Okay, so Alan,
I'll go with that.
All right, Alan, what do you think about this? The Droid Rage epic fail. I don't know. You want to talk about it?
Well, we can talk about it briefly. I pulled some of them up, and so I'm trying to find some really choice ones here.
What happened? I'm sorry, I didn't describe it well.
But basically, what it is,
tell us what happened.
On Twitter, Microsoft tried to get people to talk about their malware problems, and remember, this is Microsoft asking people to talk about malware problems. Think about that for a minute. On an Android device, and although they did get some legitimate replies, they also got a whole pile of very, very biting, sarcastic comments. So we would get things like, stupid Microsoft, glass houses. I've never had malware on my Android device, only ever Windows, which I don't use anymore. Droid Rage. And let me see, where were some other good ones? Here we are. I never had problems with my Android, but for a free phone, I'll sell it on eBay afterwards. I would say anything. There was another Droid Rage one. So, oh, here we are. Sorry, we're back. Had to reboot the PC. Too easy, Droid Rage. Whoops, just activated another 1 million devices today. Sorry about that, Windows Phone. Droid Rage. So it was, kind of like shooting fish in a barrel for a while. I couldn't find my favorite, which, so I'm doing it by memory, which was something along the lines of, didn't shoot down that unnamed, that unmanned probe, lost Death Star plans. Droid Rage. That was my favorite. So, did anybody else have any particularly good ones that they saw or that was passed around the stream? Hearing absolutely nothing, you're going to make me go hunt for some more, aren't you? and there were some really good ones here. Admittedly, they did find people who went and downloaded apps from stores that were not Google's App Store and did do some pretty nasty things out there. But for the most part, people are really generally satisfied with the malware protection that Google's been offering.
The bottom line is, even Chris Pirillo, Alan, who is an Apple fan.
Here's a good one. I like this one. Microsoft Droid Rage campaign produces a 200% increase in Windows Phone sales yesterday. Analysts are uncertain if that was 2 or 3 phones.
See, here's the thing, Alan. It's about the product. There's no point in trashing a product. Build a better product, like the search engine. Bing. Nobody uses Bing. Come on. Who uses Bing? Anybody here use Bing? Raise your hand.
No.
Nobody. Zero. No. Nobody Bings anything. I try it once in a while. If I'm frustrated with a search. I mean, Google's not perfect, and we all have issues where we're trying to find something and. Stuff like if your name happened to be Justin Bieber and you weren't the singer, you'd have a real problem on SEO, right? But I just think this is pathetic and disgusting on Microsoft's part. They're the leader in so many things like Office and the desktop software, and they're threatened minusculely by Apple. But it doesn't make sense. Craig Shipp, what do you think? If somebody, shouldn't you just build a better product if you want people to use your product?
I think that Microsoft realizes that, what I said a month or so ago on this show, that they're not going to be relevant 5 or 10 years from now, and they're desperate, and they'll do anything, like the old media and other dinosaurs that are circling the drain. They'll do what they need to do to try to survive. I don't think this is a good move. I don't think it's a good way to try to survive. But desperate times call for desperate measures, I guess.
Craig, is there any truth that Microsoft is going to purchase Hangout10.com?
That would be a smart move on their part. That would be a smart move. I wonder if Google would allow that.
But speaking of purchasing things, a couple of months, and I'm segueing to a new topic, Dan, so hit the
5104.
Speaking of purchasing things, a few months ago, Google purchased a company called Snapseed. And Snapseed is well known for making photo editing software that ran on iOS. In fact, Apple called them one of the top apps of 2011, and Google went and bought them. The other announcement Thursday, besides Communities, was that a new version of Snapseed was being released on iOS, and it was going to be released for free. And Snapseed was being released for our Android devices, version 4.0 and up. So I don't know, has anybody else tested Snapseed?
I've used it.
What do you think, Michael?
Well, I had an iPad, last year, a year ago, and they had Snapseed on that. So it works pretty much the same. The only main difference is that there's a direct way to share from Snapseed to Google+.
That is a big plus for me. That's a big plus because now I like to use the Snapseed on my phone, my iPhone, and my iPad. Yesterday I was having troubles with it, but today I logged back out of the app, re-logged back in, and now I'm good to go. So I created a post and.
Now, have you posted a photo from that directly to Google+?
I did.
And did it size the photo down, or did it upload the full-size photo?
I think it sized it down. Let me look.
All photos on Google+, when they go into the Google+ album, get sized to the largest dimension is 2048.
Right.
And what
is Google+?
Well, no, not 20. They size mine down lower as it comes up.
Yeah, when I used to upload using the app, and I haven't done it for quite a while, I go direct to Picasa and then post from there because I can get the larger size. But it was sizing them down quite a bit, where you couldn't even go full screen.
Oh yeah, when I did the Snapseed share, it went smaller. Can I do a screen share to show you what it looks like?
What does it say the resolution is on it?
I don't know.
What it used to do is it would upload a thumbnail quick, just like it does an instant upload, and it'll send the main photo, the big full-size version, to go back to it. Now, yes, it won't go higher than that free, dimension unless you do it directly through Picasa.
Yeah, so Snapseed is smaller, so I don't know what the resolution is. I don't know how to tell.
Yeah, that's another Google fail.
It
seems like to me.
See,
how can you
don't they ever test any of this stuff? I mean, what are they thinking?
How can you call it a fail when it's free?
See, can you see my little picture?
Yeah, Sheila, click on where it says photo details.
Oh, duh.
You can't enlarge a picture, Michael, once it's been downsized.
No, not there. Over on the right. Oh, maybe there is. Okay, now scroll down on the right so we can see the photo details.
Huh?
The white strip on the right-hand side.
Oh. Yeah, it's only 558 by 480. And that's not on my camera. I have it set for high resolution, HDR. And that's not what I get. I get a smaller. So I don't know if
you were to email the photo to yourself from your phone, email the full-size version, you'd get a nice big photo, right?
Well, yeah, or if I did it, if I shared it through, if I did it like instant upload from the Google Plus app, then I would get a larger photo.
Okay. I'll be honest, I've not seen it do that in the past. Whenever it resizes it for me, it sizes it to 2048 by something.
Yeah.
Snapseed?
I haven't done an upload with Snapseed yet.
Okay. I've done the one thing I noticed with Snapseed is that it down-res mine as well. Cause I did a screenshot from a Nexus 7 like this morning, and it did push it down. But one thing I've noticed it does not say it's from Snapseed. It just says mobile. But I remember Vic, he did his post a while ago and it said actually from Snapseed.
See, in this day and age, I just think it's unacceptable to be cutting photos down to that extent. I mean,
yeah, no, that sounds like a bug. That sounds like a bug, and it seems odd that.
You think it's phone
Google
dependent?
Plus app was doing it as well. I don't know if it's still doing it because I've given up on even trying to use it because it's so sluggish. But it was sizing them down as well.
We have a couple of comments that I wanted to get to, and I don't know which one is currently. This ties back a little bit with my previous comment about the population of Android. Talking about how 50% of the users are back at Gingerbread, but they're only catering to version 4.0 and up, telling us to buy a new phone, pointing out there were some other features that they're not going to have access to. It's a legitimate complaint that I think you're having.
Sheila, we can hear you scraping your bowl. Please mute.
It's a legitimate complaint. But I think at some point Google, the reason why Google's been making these updates is to make better software. And just, there's a point where they're saying, look, they can't make the quality software that they want to make and still maintain this backward compatibility to software that's 2.5 years old. I've got sympathy for them. I've got sympathy for people who have old phones. Because I had an old phone too, and up until a few months ago, that's what I was on. So it's a tricky balancing act. I don't know what the best solution is, but it is it's not straightforward. We also had this question. They should have kept it at $5 on iOS. What's the benefit to Google for making it free on iOS? I think the biggest benefit is for them to say, hey, look, we don't have any animosity towards Apple. We're not mad at you guys. We're out to make high-quality stuff, and you can trust us. I think it's a trust issue. Does anybody else have any thoughts on why they might have left it free for iOS? I don't hear any. Okay. In that case, let's move on to the next subject. Dan.
Go ahead.
Speaking of free versus not free. Wow, there's a segue that I wasn't even planning for.
Boy, Craig's going to weigh in on this because he is grandfathered.
So am I. Basically, Google Apps, which is their enterprise suite of software that includes Gmail, and includes calendaring, and includes a bunch of stuff, but lets you host it under your own domain name. Up until now, they've had a free tier that let you have a few users under this domain name. That free tier is no longer available to be signed up for. So if you sign up for what they call Google Apps, you now have to pay $50 a user a year, I believe is the level.
Well, okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Michael.
Month, but
it's $5 per user per month.
Yeah.
Okay, $5 per user per month or $50 per user per year.
Yeah.
Okay. I said corrected. Thank you. So this is, it's a little thing, but here's a case where they got a lot of goodwill for, I don't know, how much do you think they lost on this?
What,
hang on. No, I want to skip back a subject now that Anthony Klauser has joined us, maybe, because I really wanted his opinion on Snapseed. Anthony, are you with us? I guess not. Okay. So, I don't know, Michael,
are you saying it's a good PR move because they're grandfathering The folks that are in it? Is that what you're talking about? That's
no.
the good PR move?
I'm not saying it's a good PR move at all. Actually, I think it's a bad PR move. I think having a free tier for a couple of users to let people understand why this is a significant and important business, a significant and important tool for business, is a good thing. I think their reason why they're abandoning it makes sense from their point of view, and that basically boils down to
they're not abandoning it. They're just starting to charge for it.
Well, they're abandoning the free tier to new customers.
Yeah. See, I think they should approach this differently. I think they should look at who's using it for what, and they should have a nonprofit or a
they have a nonprofit and educational tiers already.
Yeah, I mean, but like, for example, my use case, I don't really come under either of those. But for example, if they were to tell me that they're going to start charging me, I've given away like 200 or 300 free email addresses on the Frederick.com URL, for example. And we just gave them away as a community service. Okay, you want your name at Frederick.com, just ask us and we'll give it to you. Obviously, I wouldn't be able to do that if I was charging everybody. And so that would be what I would call a community use of that service, that I think they should have exceptions for things like that, where you're not using it for profit. You're not a nonprofit, but you're not using the email service really for a profitable venture.
You also have to realize that Google is a business, and I'm pretty sure it's a lot of resources to use all of that. Things have a extra side of the server that they're using because they have 99% uptime guaranteed and all this.
Yeah, but they didn't have that guarantee for this tier.
That's true.
And they can still put ads there, right? Can't they still put ads in your email?
Yeah.
That's everywhere.
So I mean, that's how they make their money.
That they're still providing free. Phone calls, Google Plus, it's a bunch of other things that they're serving free. They can't give everything away for free.
But Michael, here's the issue though. One of their arguments is that you can get everything that these people were getting from Google Apps by just using Gmail and getting a regular Google account. They're saying you're not getting anything different. The only difference is that you can't use your own domain name.
No, it's control, Alan. If you have your own, you can control it. Like, let's say you have a sales team, and you have a salesperson who quits or gets fired. If you're using Gmail, they control that password. But if you're in a company using Google Apps, you can control that. You can reassign their previous email to the new sales rep so they can maintain their relationships. All sorts of things like that. You can also have the free or the ability to have your own internal Google Plus, sort of. You can't do that with Gmail.
And wasn't it free up to 50 people?
Well, at one point it was free up to 200, and then it was down free up to 100, and then it was free up to 50.
Craig has 1,000.
And then
right?
it was free up to 2.
Yeah, mine, when I signed up, you told them how many users you wanted. And like on most of my domains, I selected 1,000. And a couple of them took 500 because I didn't think I'd need as many. Of course, now looking back, I should have done 1,000 on all of them. But yeah, some of mine, like Frederick.com, I have up to 1,000 users.
What was the max, Craig? Was there a max?
I don't know. That's just what I put in there.
Man, you could have. You could have. Oh man, you could have really milked that. You could have said like, I have 100,000 employees.
At the time, I didn't want to really take advantage of it. I was saying, hey, 1,000 for Frederick County is probably enough, so I put 1,000 down. And I've only used about probably 300 of them so far.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to belabor the point, but we got a bunch of comments. And I already lost one of them, so I apologize. By the way, Dan, we're getting a lot of people saying we're getting some audio problems tonight on the produced version. So
okay.
I wanted to
Let me
pass
investigate.
those on.
I'll investigate.
So we have this comment from Tessa saying, "Thank you. Google is a business, and as part of that business, they send their executives around to a lot of major conferences and." We alluded earlier this evening that Vikram Dotra was at the I've already forgotten the name of it. Danny Sullivan's company was interviewed by Danny Sullivan of Marketing Land. They were at their SMX Social Media Expo.
Search Market Watch.
Social Media Marketing is what SMX Social Media Marketing Conference. And this was their closing keynote address, was an interview with Vic Gundotra. And it was, I watched the hour video presentation. Did anyone else watch the show?
Yeah, I did.
You did. What did you think, Harold?
Yeah, it was really good. He like I said, at the ending, he asked what was the most important thing that you found out about Google Plus, and he was saying something like what I was saying, is that a family from all over the world could talk to each other, and all of them were laughing and communicating, and all of them lived in different parts of the world. He said that was the most important thing that happened to him, that he found out about it.
That was an interesting point. There are a lot of interesting nuggets that he kind of dropped along the way. Some of it was stuff that we've heard before, complaints about the API. Yeah, he's taking the hit for it. The comments about how 2013 is going to be incredible for users. And as part of that, he made two interesting comments, which I picked up on. The first was he kind of hinted at more photo editing was going to be coming in 2013. And particularly in light of the Snapseed purchase, which is all about photo editing, it's going to be interesting to see how that might make its way into Google+. The other thing that he hinted at is exactly what we're doing tonight, and that's video recording. He kind of suggested that there was going to be some improvements in video recording, and Hangouts on Air or a variant of that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Over and over, he talked about Google Plus as an identity service and the problems they had with their existing identity services, and how Google Plus was a way to kind of fix that. And that's an issue that we've talked a lot about. Again, we just discussed Google Apps and how that fits into the Google Enterprise strategy. And again, he hinted that we're going to be hopefully seeing something soon from Google Enterprise about how it's going to integrate with Google+. So that'll be interesting. If anybody has any thoughts, you can cut me off at any time. Really, this doesn't have to be a monologue. Honest, really.
I didn't watch it.
You people are.
Yeah,
so
I didn't watch
awful.
it either. I'm so sorry.
Well,
but you're doing a great job there, Alan. You're doing
Let me
wonderful.
toss this one out. Danny asked him about how the What's Hot list and the suggested user lists are generated. And he said the What's Hot list is purely an algorithm. There's no human intervention in that at all.
He's lying.
Okay, we've got one opinion from Pam. Anyone else have a thought on that one?
Unless the algorithm is run along a select group chosen by Google, then he's lying.
Well, when everybody is sharing and commenting and posting, it's share, and a lot of comments, that creates I'm thinking trending. No. But the sharing is when you've got like 400, 5,000, 6,000 shares, that'll put it on the What's Hot list. But what I don't get is sometimes the What's Hot list doesn't even get very many shares or comments. So that I don't get.
The other interesting thing that he mentioned is regarding the suggested user list. He said that is manually curated, but it's based on suggestions coming from an algorithm. So, for example, if the system notices that the prime minister of some country hadn't been on before, starts logging in, creates an account, the system will notice it and will flag a human to check out and see if they're worthy, if they're a good candidate for the suggested user list. So there's curation on the SUL, it's based on suggestions from an algorithm. Go ahead, Pam.
I was just going to say, what is their criteria for a good fit for the suggested user list.
Well,
someone at Google likes them. I mean,
someone with some name cachet, I'm sure.
Yeah, but you know, some of the people on the suggested user lists are real jerks.
Dan, do you have any thoughts about people on the suggested user list being real jerks?
Not all of them. I think I like the regional thing, and that makes sense.
I like how you went from like 17,000 to 70,000 in like a week.
On Thanksgiving, yeah, I could tell you it's crazy. I did not ask for it. I did not expect it, and I'm flattered. And it's interesting.
It's awesome.
Well, the most interesting thing to me, Pam, is I've always wondered what it was like to get notifications like that. And like I woke up and there's like 80 some notifications, and then I started reading them, and then I went to the you click when you're at that when you're after 10 notifications, you have to click on view all notifications, right? So you go to that screen where there's 15 at a time. And before I got finished with the 15, I looked up and I had 16 new ones, and I was like, well, this is not going to work. So I finally caught up, and it's only going to get worse or better, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's interesting, and you get a lot of strange messages, some of which are funny, some are disturbing, and so it's wild. But they just stick you on, and if you look at circle count, you can look at people's history, and you come and go, so you don't. You enjoy it while it lasts, and you get more followers. And like tonight, we have about 10 more viewers than usual. We were in the 30s. Normally we're in the 20s live, and then it's about 1,000 afterward. So yeah, I'm not complaining, but
so now it's not only a money sucking hole, but it's a time sucking hole too.
It's always been a time sucking hole.
Yeah, but Dan has a really short attention span, so I can see that having lots of side conversations and interactions or whatever is right up his alley.
Indeed, short conversations.
Now your posts have to be even more stellar, right? Now you have to really work it.
I don't know. I'm not worried about it. I post whatever I find interesting, and that's one thing that Fraser said. He's pigeonholed as a space guy, and I think that's a bad thing.
It's totally bad.
Yeah,
because he's not an astronomer. He's a tech guy.
Yeah,
right?
I post. All y'all follow me. I post a ridiculous volume, but anything that is interesting to me. And sometimes I post obscure stuff, like I covered the DC City Council and I posted about that. Sometimes I posted the obituary of the spider. I post all kinds of Google Plus news, tech news. So from the beginning I posted anything that interested me or I thought was funny or made me think or whatever. And so I didn't get pigeonholed. And so if you follow me, that's what you get. Actually, one local person who follows me we're friends on Facebook and we're friends in real life, but she didn't get how it worked, and she signed up for Google Plus for the first time, and she actually ended up blocking me because I was filling her stream.
Yeah, we can understand people blocking you, Dan.
There's only so much Dan you can take, right?
She didn't know how to, I don't know, but anyway.
But okay, so some other things that Vic said, which I thought were pretty interesting. He has a great quote that I've heard a lot of people repeat since then. He said, I don't think you want to be the last person in town to be on Google+. Now remember, he was talking to a bunch of marketers. So, and that was part of an argument he was making that a lot of companies that were doing more social on Google+, were getting more reaction on Google+ than they were on Facebook. And those were his words. Craig, you can go watch it. I'll send you the times where he says that even.
I'm not surprised he would say that, but again, I'm just talking about real average people. Now, big companies that are marketing to who knows who they're marketing to. Might be an exception, and it might be other communities are completely different than Frederick County, Maryland, USA, where I have the most experience with this. But it's like pulling teeth to get those locals onto it. Now, a lot of them are starting to use Twitter, I get feedback from people. Again, I give out my cards. I took the picture. You can find them on Twitter, Facebook. Pick your poison. And a lot of them will say, okay, I'll go to your Twitter. A lot of them will say, okay, I'll see them on Facebook. Nobody says, Google Plus, that's great, I'll get them there. So
go look at. I suggest you go watch the video because he does say a lot of things that are specifically targeted to marketers. And you can believe him, you can not believe him, you can, you're here, so you're a step ahead of a lot of people. But go ahead and look.
Oh yeah, I will. I definitely will.
I just want to. We just had this comment come in. Tessa asked if the discussion of communities has been had. Trust me, we're going to get back to the communities.
Oh yeah.
Trust me, we're going to get back to the communities. Anyway, so some other things. He admitted that local needs work. Boy, does it need work. You don't want my opinion on how local needs work. And then
local. What do you mean?
Local needing work. Local is broken, badly broken.
What do you mean by local?
Google Plus local.
What's the difference between that and what do they call it when the local business adds themselves? What is that? That's not.
You talking about Google Now?
It's the integration between what used to be called Google Places and Maps and Google Plus and Zagat.
So when a business used to go on and add themselves to Google, was that called Google Places then?
To Google, yes. Yeah, that was Google Places.
So now they're calling that local?
Yes. They've been calling that local for about 6 months now.
So it's the same thing?
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, it's the same thing repackaged and supposedly nicer.
Well, nicer in the sense that it's now attached to Google Plus.
Plus, yeah, exactly.
Nicer.
Yeah.
So he got a whole bunch of complaints about it at the conference, and he admitted that it needs work, and that they were working hard to mold their old legacy system to the sleek, modern Google Plus.
Yeah, and there's no credence to the rumor that AreaGuides.com may be the solution to their local problem.
I think that's a given, Craig.
About
that. What about the Twitter thing? That's funny.
Oh, that was a good one. Towards the end, he was asked kind of, do you look at other social networks? And he said, well, yeah, I made 2 tweets once, and then my boss told me to stop. And apparently he was kind of leaking out some sensitive Google information. So
no, what should I say it?
Go ahead.
It was?
Go ahead, because I don't know the details.
Oh, this is what it was. What I heard, he tweeted Nokia, Microsoft and Nokia. He's not coming in, is he? Okay, good. Microsoft and Nokia were doing some sort of partnership, and he tweeted, 2 turkeys do not make an eagle. Nokia was going full bore with Windows Phone, Windows Mobile, and he tweeted,
a golf and a bowling reference.
2 turkeys do not make an eagle. Yeah. So what I thought was interesting about that part is Danny then said, well, you check out the competition, and Vic said, yeah, of course I check out the competition. I need to keep an eye on where the innovation is coming from. Ooh. Nobody else thinks that one was cool.
Well,
okay.
Well, Alan, I definitely think that Facebook is going to fall. That Facebook.
You think everybody's going to fall, Craig?
Well, eventually.
Social media, as we know it, is dead. Yeah.
But
have you ever seen any product that so many of the users hated, and they're only using it because nobody else has the functionality that they have? Really?
Hey,
it's not the functionality. It's because everybody's there. But
they'll all leave. Look how quickly they left MySpace for Facebook.
That's right.
There is no
Dan, MySpace is back.
Yeah, and Google, even though they're doing everything wrong, in my opinion, they're doing few things right. They will get it right, and they are fixing things, and they will slowly but surely absolutely crush and destroy Facebook. But they better do it before they get destroyed by something else that comes along and makes them irrelevant.
Yeah, I think Google is just a monster on the block when it comes to advertising, and that's what's going to drive it. So
anyway, this is going to be the wrap up, and then we're going to get to communities. I've got a whole pile of quotes here, but towards the end of the interview, Danny did a bunch of rapid fire one-word reaction quotes. So he wanted Vic to react to when he said Facebook. And Vic was just kind of speechless, like, I don't know. Twitter. He asked him about Pinterest, and his reply was, beautiful. Now you might remember, way back at I.O., that word beautiful was being tossed around an awful lot. And I made fun of it back then, and I'm going to keep making fun of it. And then finally, he asked him, Google+, and Vic said, beginning.
Can you imagine where it's going to go?
I can't. You know what, Dan? That's a great lead-in because I can imagine where it's going to go. In fact, when Mark, this is a time mark now. We can go. We're going to start the community discussion again.
All right, here we go. This is. Let me preface this here, because this we promised an epic rant from Alan. He was very displeased on day 2 of communities, which are now. How old are they?
Dan, Alan, how many communities do you have?
Do I have?
Yeah, how many did you start?
I have 3 so far.
And because I got no invites from any of them, so obviously they are.
You wouldn't have noticed the invites anyway.
Are they public?
They're not public.
It's called the Groucho Marx theory.
All right, go ahead and pile on this beta product that is.
Well, let me start with a couple of quotes here. The first is Crazy Buddha Charlie wants to know how many viewers do we currently have. He asked for on average, and we know that usually we're getting around 20 watch and a couple of hundred or a couple of thousand afterwards. How many do we currently have?
Right now, we have exactly 23 viewers. We were about 10 more than that earlier. Most people watch after the fact. When we post the show, I post the time codes, and so people can click to specific topics that they're interested in. Like we referenced communities at the very beginning, and now we're referencing it at the end. People like that, and it's a lot of them like the audio version. And so it's about the most we've ever had is 4,000 views. And it averages about 1,000 or so, but the vast majority are after the fact. Because, let's face it, it's Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, we start, so it's early in the morning on Saturday. A lot of our viewers and folks who interact and comment are in Europe, and so, it's if you had to pick a bad time for a show, this is it. So, we get enough live. The only thing the only reason we care about live viewers is to get the comments and questions. It doesn't matter if you watch it live or afterward.
We care, you guys.
We care about the viewers.
But we desperately want live viewers for those comments. But it doesn't matter if you watch it afterward. And I don't monetize the show. I don't care. I don't make any money on this. We're all volunteers here. This is all for fun and to be able to hang out with our friends and have a conversation about technology.
Dan, as soon as you start making money, you better start parsing it out.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. I'm going to send some to California.
Yeah, stop in San Francisco first, though.
Oh, we're up to 24 now, so we've had a 4% bump or whatever it is. I don't know.
Oh, Lord.
So I am well known for giving my opinion on... Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Jeff. Well known for giving my opinion on new Google Plus features as they come out. So, for example, Margie points out that I hate local. And John confirmed that. Yes, he does. Not going to change either. No, that's not true. If Google ever actually did something worthwhile and real and knew what the freak they were doing, then maybe, just maybe, I might change my opinion.
That's what the fans are waiting for.
Yes, we know, and we deliver. But seriously, when it comes to the community, feature. When I first heard about it, I was massively excited. This really seemed like they were going to be addressing a whole bunch of issues. They were going to be addressing it in a way that was different and new and innovative, and they were going to be giving us a tool that would scale for thousands of users, or it would work great for 4 people, that I would be able to use it for my hobbies, I'd be able to use it for my business, I'd be able to use it in all sorts of different ways. And instead, they gave us this pile of junk! I was floored.
Why is it junk?
It's junk. What it boils down to is they went back and looked at the most modern, innovative forum systems from 15 years ago, and they stole most of the good features from 15 years ago. They used, it's almost like none of these people have ever used a modern forum software, never mind using something like Google Groups.
You know what? I'm going to have a complaint here too, Alan. So, I like the communities. You know, that's great, but I don't like it that every post I make shows up on my personal profile on G+. I don't like that.
Well, let me ask you why, Sheila. Let me kind of turn that around.
How often do you spend on your profile? Are you sitting there on your profile page? No one else can see it?
I can.
I never look at my profile page.
Oh, I do.
Sorry.
Yeah, I actually kind of
all day long. People have been bitching about that. That just drives me crazy. I don't want it to show up on my profile page. It's like
I had a forum for a couple of years, and now I don't. But I can tell you what people like in forums is they like the idea of going through and quickly looking at things they're interested in, and things they haven't read, and things they want to apply to, and things like that.
Then maybe they should fix the notifications.
It's not just the notifications.
It goes beyond notifications. It's the fact that
turn those off. You hit the bell.
Well, that's not even it. But here's the problem, Sheila. You still can't go through 100 posts quickly, and by quickly I mean in less than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I can do that. 20 years ago, I could use Usenet and get through a few hundred or a few thousand posts in just a few minutes because it was easy, because they had subjects, and I can say, I don't care about that one or that one or that one or that one or that one. Okay, this group is red. You can't do that.
Yeah, it's threaded in a way.
Communities.
It's not threaded correctly yet.
Forget threaded. There's no subject.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Well, you know what? You have to go into your and you have to add categories.
Even categories. All that means is I now see that there are 30 messages in category A, 30 in category B, 30 in category C, and in order to go to them, I need to click on that, and I need to scroll.
Yeah.
Scroll.
Okay.
Scroll.
Alan, good question from George Cozy in the comments.
It hasn't shown up on mine yet, so I'm.
I clicked on the standalone thing. I think we got to get with Guru. Something's up. I don't know what it is, but it's not working in.
Describe to us what would be a modern, innovative community system. Okay, this is actually a really good question, and part of it is.
It's not a question; it's a statement.
It's a unicorn.
It has a question mark.
Well, just because George put one there doesn't make it a question.
So the issue is, what do I think? I'm going to phrase it in the form of a question. What would I think a modern, innovative community system would be? And I'm going to generally refer to this as a forum. Okay, so
that's agreed.
Just for shorthand, what I think a modern forum would do. That you have to understand, what is the purpose of a modern forum? The purpose is to let somebody who is interested in a theme collect with a bunch of other people who are interested in the same theme and discuss topics broadly related to that theme.
Yeah, and it's not. Yeah.
So if we're and to do that in as quick and rapid a fashion as you can, so that you can immediately get to specific subjects that you're really interested in, and be able to ignore all of the other stuff that you're not interested in.
Right.
Let's use space as an example. Space is big, really big. In fact, space is so big that if you thought walking down to the corner for a bag of peanuts took a long time, that's nothing compared to space. Anybody who doesn't get that reference should go out back and shoot yourself right now.
No, don't do that. don't listen to Alan.
Space has a lot. There are a lot of things about space. So if I'm interested in space, and I am, I want to be able to join a forum about space and kind of be able on any given day to quickly go through the topics that are there.
Right.
And so if I see something about a company that wants to go land on the moon, I might look at that. That's interesting. But I want to be able to identify that I'm interested in it quickly. If there's a company that's interested in shooting themselves into the sun, I might not be as interested in that because, well, I think they're a bunch of loons. So I want to be able to do this quickly. And I think the crucial component to doing these sorts of things quickly is to be able to have messages in a format that's part of your everyday workflow. So, for example, for people who routinely keep their email open, having groups post to your email is a really good way to integrate with your existing workflow. If you keep Google Plus open all the time, having messages that come in either as part of your stream or as part of your screen, letting you know when new things are happening, that's a good part of your workflow. If it's something that's constantly interrupting you by flashing a red box in an upper right-hand corner, as a purely hypothetical example, that might be interruptive to you, and that's a bad thing. Now, if you're used to that sort of thing, that might be good for you, but bad for me. So a good system also needs to be flexible. It needs to work with how you work, not dictate some way that it thinks you should be working. Those, I think, are kind of the most crucial elements of it, and Google Plus communities fail almost all of them completely.
I had a few with a lot of things you just said.
Yeah.
Well, for starters, I want to thank Kevin for calling me a really hoopy fruit and understanding the reference. Thank you, Kevin. Go ahead, Michael.
Go ahead, Michael. Go first.
Do you know where your towel is, though, man?
I do know where my towel is.
Monica, Jeff, and then Monica.
No,
what
hang on.
do you think?
I thought
Michael was going to say something.
Michael had something
Michael, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, a lot of the things that Alan wants, to make it quick, loses a lot of the things Google Plus is known for. Pictures and all these other things. You can't use... Most forums I've seen don't have the numbers as we see on Google Plus. Therefore, if there's a forum that you go through quickly and there's thousands and thousands of people in that forum, I have not gone through a forum quickly at all. XDA is like the biggest forum I know that I use, and I can't go through that quickly. But now something you add pictures.
Michael, I would say that it's relatively quickly then, because it's quickly compared to having to read individual messages from thousands of users stretched out on a very, very, very long page.
Agreed.
Okay, so
the only way to fix that though would be to get rid of the pictures and make it a smaller area where the post is, but then you lose a lot of the core features of Google Plus.
Well, that's part of the problem.
So that's changing their whole experience of Google Plus to fix communities?
Well, but that's part of the problem is that it's damaged by design. There are fundamental design flaws. It's not so much that hey, if they just change this, that, and the other thing, it'll work great. It won't work great. It'll work better, but they're trying to do something that Google Plus itself was not meant to do, and that's
but they can
there. Go ahead,
they can tweak it though. I mean, they can tweak it like when you join a community and you just want to be part of this subcategory of the discussion, not everything. So you subscribe to that, and then you get notifications of just that.
I think there are things. I think there are things that they could do better.
Yes,
so for example, yes, subscribing to just a subcategory would make it better. Making it so that if you subscribe, that you can actually, instead of subscribing to it, putting it in a circle, and then you get all of your circle paradigms working with it, so that you can adjust the volume on that circle, so that you can say, I'm really, really interested in this subcategory, and I want to see everything. And when you're suddenly flooded with thousands of messages at a time, say, hey, wait a minute, maybe I didn't really want to see everything. And be able to adjust that. Go ahead, Monica.
Let me tell you what I worry about, though. I worry about what I like to call the events problem happening again. And that's when events were released. There were, events was great. And it worked really well in some aspects. But there were some fundamental flaws that really needed to be worked out and that never got a final fix. And so basically the answer was that you had to either work your way around these fundamental flaws or you had to stop using the events feature altogether because there was no big fix coming. And so what I worry about with communities is that there might be some of these really big issues that never get this final fixed. And so people are forced to either abandon them in the long run or, if there's no big fix coming.
Well, welcome
Tell us there's no big fix coming, so we'll find a better solution.
I got the big fix. I got a full solution to solve everything. Put sliders on everything. Subcategories, communities, sliders, put sliders on everything.
But why put sliders on everything when you can just put it into a circle instead? And a circle is a paradigm we already have and understand.
That's one thing that Craig. Let me ask you this: what about what Facebook does? Hey Sheila, do me a few. Yeah, okay, that's okay. When you're typing, it's loud. Craig, Facebook is famous for its algorithm that determines what you see, and Google is it's pretty manual. I mean, you can set the settings yourself. What do you think's better?
Well, I don't like either, to tell you the truth. When I am a friend with somebody, or I want to see everything they're posting, or I'm just going to unfriend them myself. I mean, and so that's the way I control my stream. Twitter the same way. I follow somebody, and if they're posting too much, I just unfollow them. So I'd rather control it that way. But getting back to the communities and so forth, on Flickr, I use groups and like the D700 camera group, because that's the Nikon that I shoot. And so I'm a member of that group. It's got 13,000 members. And maybe it's an old design. Everybody gives Flickr a hard time for being an old design. But I can do exactly what Alan said. I can go in and I can very quickly see the new posts in various categories that I'm interested in, and because they're bold, and I can just go right through real quick, and if there's anything that interests me, I can click, I can read it. It's very quick and easy, and I think that Google should try just one time to make things quick and easy. They seem to always make things complicated, make things difficult. I don't understand it.
One of the most popular sites on the internet is Drudge Report, right? And Drudge Report, which often, influences what's going to be on the news. It's the most 90s ghetto-looking website out there, but it works. It gives you what you want. And Huffington Post is
well, Craigslist. Look at Craigslist.
Yeah. Craigslist works. Yeah.
But they got to give Google. They have a huge framework where they got to keep everything kind of working together, right? So they're not going to try to reinvent all the wheels. They're going to take code in different aspects of different environments and then use that as their basis and then go from that.
There's the funny thing, Jeff. The communities looks like
groups.
It was. No, it doesn't look anything like groups.
Yes, it does. It
looks nothing like groups.
Yes, it is.
It doesn't look like anything like Google Plus either, though.
What?
It looks like
no.
It's a rewrite.
No. What they did is just take groups and added categories.
That's all they did. That's all they did. It looks the same way.
No, it looks nothing like groups.
I will show you the similarity.
It doesn't have stars. It doesn't have subjects.
What?
It doesn't have tons and tons of stuff.
But they added that. They took that basis and then added it. They added that features. They added it. They didn't rewrite the code. I don't think they did it from scratch. I think they
did.
I don't think
so.
I think they did. It looks nothing like groups.
It looks just like groups.
It looks nothing like groups.
The subcategories, they work under the same one whole group, the same way, just like you can switch to categories and groups. It's the same categories and communities.
Well, let me tell you one thing I really like about it. And I had gotten to the point where it's impossible to find new people that you might like to hang out with that have common interests. And one cool thing that you might notice is if you go into the invite window, you hit invite, instead of just inviting your own circles, if you have some groups, you can now invite your groups. So say you're a member of like the Google Discuss group, it's got over 11,000 people in it now. So it's a lot easier to hang out with people who have common interests, and you don't have to make those gigantic circles anymore.
There are some really good features that I like to it, but go ahead, Pam.
I mean, I agree with Monica, but I also am afraid of people. Well, I'm not afraid of people. Well, yeah, I am, but that's not what I was going to say. I am afraid of people not broadening their horizons anymore. They're going to pigeonhole themselves into these communities and groups.
These echo chambers.
Yes, and it's just going to, you know, how do you grow and you learn and you get exposed to people? Like, I would never have met Alan or Jeff or Monica for that instance if I stayed in my, you know, little corner of interests. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it just never would have happened.
I want to talk on this. Go ahead, Alan. And then,
I wanted to address that as well. It's a valid point, and I think the echo chamber is a real concern. But I've seen on a lot of forums in the past where people will start out very, very narrowly focused on a particular topic. And as you see, as you get used to some of the major people in a discussion, you'll start to say, hey, this person seems interesting. Let me find out more about them. Let me start talking to them in the off-topic forum.
Well, that's
let
one
me start
strength,
talking to them in the chat, and let me start following, in the Google Plus case, let me start following them.
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
but
hang on. On that note, if you go to a traditional forum, you'll see that they have, I mean, the private messaging capability and things like that on a typical forum board are horrific. Google Plus is vastly superior to that. It is complicated for non-techies, and they can do better, and they have done better. I mean, from day one to now, it's a dramatic improvement in a fairly short amount of time, and they have a big team on it, and they do listen to feedback. I mean, we've had Vic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, yeah, we've had Vic with us. We've had all kinds of Googlers on the show, and they listen and they interact with us, and we see posts with folks with, you know, 150 followers.
Jonathan is always interacting with us. Yeah,
I mean, how many of you have talked to Zuckerberg on Facebook? You know, zero.
No.
But we've had the senior vice president here. You know, so
every Thursday they have open hangouts.
Yeah, they care and they listen. And when you have a good idea, and they're not afraid to say, I don't agree. Like Chi's been on here a few times. Chi is the lead for Hangouts. And he said, you know, I don't agree with that. We're not doing that. No, is the answer. Next question. And sometimes he'll say, like, well, that's a good idea. You know, we'll do that. And then it happens. So it's incredible access for a company that has to minimize that because they're giving products away and they're paying for it with advertising. And they can't respond to every question or comment.
Right, but they're getting free innovation in return. And that is priceless.
And they're getting true, but where I think communities are going, and why I think you know, Hangouts were the early killer app. Where what's important but communities are the new killer app for Google Plus, and then you guys can disagree with me, but let me get through this. What Hangouts do, Hangouts are interest and locality. You could have a school campus. You could have a business. A staff, you know, the sales staff of this business or the entire corporation. They could have a community that's private. You could have things like for tech support. I use Sony Vegas to produce, you know, to edit video. I would love to have a community about Sony Vegas, and I'm going to create one, or maybe I did, I can't remember, where I can hopefully cultivate that. And I'll be able to post a thing like, man, I can't figure out why my thing's flickering. And someone says, well, you got to turn off the GPU, you know, and try that. that kind of stuff, for tech support, for all kinds of, obscure software problems or washing machines, whatever, but localities is where I think where it's at. I'm going to start a community for Front Royal, Virginia, and for Bentonville, Virginia, and Warren County, Virginia, or maybe one that encompasses all three. And I'm going to, try to post exclusively into that about local stuff, because my regular stream is worldwide and mainly tech and politics, and they wouldn't care about that stuff. But imagine if there was a setting to say this is about a local community when you set up, a community, and it's about, Yonkers, New York, or Istanbul, or Front Royal, Virginia, and you had just posts about that, gossiping about the politicians or great restaurants to eat at or whatever, where to go antiquing in that area. Google had an algorithm that would detect there are, X amount of posts from different people and there's engagement, and they could easily do that. And then they could manually review the ones that pop up and they think are worthy of inclusion in a suggested community list. And so when the new user comes on, and the biggest problem Google Plus has is a young person comes on and they log in, they set up an account, or they upgrade, as Google likes to say, they upgrade to Google Plus, and they discover none of their classmates or none of their friends are on Google Plus. There's nothing. I mean, Madonna's here, Lady Gaga, whatever, but there's no local stuff. Nobody they know is on there. So they like, it's okay. And all these people who posted a few things in July of 2011 and haven't posted anything since. The whole argument for the ghost town thing. What if they targeted, if they discovered and encouraged the building of local communities about, specific, literally localities, and then when someone signed up for the first time or logged in after a while or went to explore on and they're from Front Royal, Virginia, if they determined, it would take a human being to determine that it's not a spam-filled community.
Well, but Dan,
then they could recommend that, and then they would find local people talking about local things. Alan.
No. I think that's important to understand, is that communities in general are going to be topic-based, and that's great. That's the right. Important part. We've got a pile of comments that I want to get to some of them. I'm going to start with this great one. Who's the bald guy ranting about communities? I agree with that dude. Thank you, Jonathan. We also have this one from John. I want Pam to have her own show.
Little do you know.
So we would point out Pam has an invite-only community.
I have two.
Two invite-only.
I have two.
So those are interesting.
A thong one now.
Yeah, Pam is famous for Thong Thursday.
Yeah, so I have a thong community now that's invite only, and a hairy man.
Pam,
hairy man. There you go.
I love hairy man.
Pam is proud to have been uncircled by some of the most prominent people on Google Plus.
I have been blocked by.
Uncircled by clean-chested men.
I want to quickly point out that this was actually a question that came up in Vic's in Vic's interview, and he said, and I can't find the quote for it right now. He said that he follows some of the more risque authors on Google Plus. So go ahead, watch the interview if you don't believe me.
Does Vic follow you, Pam?
No, he doesn't.
His loss.
How do you know he doesn't?
The person with the most followers that follows me is Linda Lowry.
Okay, some more comments that we have. Jeff Bundy asks, why not put wave-like features into communities? Two reasons. One, we have wave-like features in communities. In fact, we have wave-like features in all of Google+. The second reason, though, is that some of the wave-like features that everyone thinks were really, really cool, like being able to watch character at a time show up in posts, were really, really bad ideas! Okay? Don't... And the horrible, horrible threading that Wave had, it was horrible! Trust me, people! These are bad, bad, bad UI design! Don't ask Google to do stupid things! They'll do stupid things on their own! Don't encourage them!
Can I suggest here? I'd like to suggest if we ever get a sponsor, heartburn medication, #1.
Throat lozenges.
This is your target market, folks.
Yeah.
Okay,
but getting back to communities,
getting back to communities.
Yeah, so I just want to say something about what Dan was saying really quick. Dan, you have you have a newspaper, you have instant content for local communities. I mean, that just sounds like a no-brainer.
And we're getting ready to do some sites with Craig Shipp. But people want local content. White House stuff, what's going on in the Greek debt, or Eurozone crisis, all that stuff. That's commodity stuff. There's a dearth of good local stuff out there.
I'm going to sew up the Boulder, Colorado market right now.
Absolutely, do it. Boulder,
You're watching
Colorado.
In Boulder, I'm your new overlord.
Absolutely, and that would be a good thing, Monica, because Monica, your local audience would not be. I'm sorry, your worldwide general Google Plus audience is not really interested in Boulder, Colorado. So that's a good argument. I mean, that'd be great for you to. You could post stuff right into that community and not into everyone who follows you. And you could build this thing up. And wouldn't it be great, Monica, if Google had an algorithm that would search through the communities that were local, and then a human would have to intervene and determine that it's not full of spam, but it's actually local content. And then when someone else in Boulder signs up for Google Plus or goes to Explore or just is generally hovering around, they would say, hey, you might like the Boulder, Colorado community. Mm-hmm. And then they would go there, and all of a sudden, they find local people posting about local things, and Google Plus is relevant to these people who otherwise might not have been, have gone in and found Madonna and found us or whoever and not found anything relevant to them locally.
Or especially if I list things like, I'm into photography. Right. And also, for some reason, I'll tell you, I mentioned that, I've been recognized before, but I've been recognized by specific interest groups. And I'll tell you why. Because, the atheist group in Boulder, Colorado is super strong, and they're on Plus, big time. So they are the people that recognize me most. It's the atheist group in Boulder, Colorado. And if any of you are watching, heads up. I doubt they watch this show. But, when more of those people sign up, if they would direct, that group is already big. I've seen they've already created communities here. That group is big on Plus. So when more of those people sign up and they want to see their Science Sunday posts, direct them to these communities.
Couldn't Google just do something very simple? Say if you belong to a public community, that in your About page would automatically say belongs to this public community?
No.
Why not? If you belong to a public community, why wouldn't you want other people to know? If you opt in,
why does it matter?
Because it solves the problem. If someone likes Monica in Boulder, Colorado, and all of a sudden they say, "Oh, I'm in Boulder, Colorado. Monica's part of." No, let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Finish, and I'll tell you what correct assumption you're making.
No, but then I would look at her about. I would look at her About page and found out that she's involved in this community, and I would possibly want to join that community because I respect people that she is involved with. Why wouldn't that work?
Okay, so you were making a different prospect that I thought you were making. I apologize. One of the things, though, is you kind of made this jump from the fact that, or where I thought you were going, was you were making the jump from the fact that because I'm involved in a location community means that I live in that community. And I don't think that's a valid assumption.
No, what I'm saying is I follow Monica. I like her post. All of a sudden, I look at her About page. She's part of this community that she is involved with, and that makes me want to say, hey, let me find out about that community. I mean, that's a simple way to kind of build that.
I think that's a valid thing. And in fact, I think if you choose to share that should be something that should be easily shared. But that should be up to me
allowed.
To share. Yeah.
Right, it should be allowed for people who are interested. But this is where Google could really cash in. because there's this website, meetup.com, that is basically taking advantage of that market. And if Google chose to kind of creep in on Meetup, what Meetup is already doing, they could do that with communities. And that would bring in so much, because then they'd like take Plus and they'd mash it up with Meetup, what Meetup is already doing, and that would be a monster.
Well, what they're going to do, Alan, don't you think they know everything about us? Everything you know, if you're not in incognito mode in Chrome, they know everything about you, all your Google searches. They know, you search for Tide detergent. They know that you're single or married or divorced, gay or straight, or, Christian, atheist, whatever. They know all these things.
Which is great for presenting advertising to you, but where are you going, Dan?
But couldn't they use that same knowledge to suggest communities? So that if you are a Lithuanian... If you are a gay Lithuanian who doesn't have a driver's license, who likes horror movies, and you log into Google Plus for the first time, couldn't they suggest relevant communities for you?
You'll be watching Zardoz.
Yes. And Dan, in fact,
don't get excited, Pam.
Just this evening, the suggested communities section started rolling out in the white space. That's a feature that literally was started rolling out this evening.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, this is the thing. Google, the biggest legitimate criticism about Google Plus was people came, they couldn't figure it out, they didn't find anything relevant to them or especially compelling. It was a commodity social blah experience, and they left. A lot of us didn't feel that way, but a lot of people did, more often than not, and that's the problem. All these, So but Google has all this data, and with the communities, they can utilize the data to steer new users and existing users into communities to where it's all about getting them to stay on this platform. I think.
Okay, we got some comments relevant to this.
Let's just hope that their algorithm for suggesting communities is better than their suggestion of people, because that sucks.
With one notable exception, Pam.
Would that be Britney Spears?
Exactly, Alan.
I'm not.
Huh?
Dan, I'm not talking about the suggested users list. I'm talking about the people on the right-hand side. That they suggest.
The recommended.
You may know,
like people that are posted one time in July, or people you've already circled.
Yeah.
And they pop up. You might like Pam Adger. I've circled a year ago. All right, what you got? You got some comments?
We got a couple of things. We got a couple of things. I'm really trying to get to some of these. I apologize that we're not getting.
Take your time and do it. Do it right. Go ahead, Alan.
From Tessa, and the point of building these local communities up for the creator, owner, and for Google. I think the point of building up a local community is kind of what. Let's look at what Brian answers that almost. I used to love the old days when Yahoo had its own groups. Many were based on geography. It was so easy to meet people that way online or in real life, and unfortunate that people abused it. I'd even talk about how on Google Plus we've gotten a lot of hangout in real life communities, built up from day one. We had a lot of photo wall communities starting from day one. These were all done without community support, official community support. Imagine what we're going to be getting now, hopefully, that we do. Some of the other stuff, you guys are talking about MySpace. Yeah, whatever. We'll talk about that another time, I think. Comment from Kevin. Jeff is right. Communities lead to people, and those people lead us to other communities. I think it's a valid point. And Jeff, I apologize for trying to cut you off.
No, I'm used to it.
But I think it's relevant, and I think it is a good way that if I choose to share all of those things, I should be able to. The caveat, though, is if I don't, I shouldn't be forced to reveal that information. And you and I disagree on this one a little bit, Pam. I know where you're going here.
I'm not going anywhere.
Well, I mean, okay. So here's an interesting observation from David Cox. I guess you could say Facebook is friends and family, Google Plus is technology, and MySpace is music. I don't know. Do you really think that's true? What do you guys think? I see Monica nodding no. Remember, guys, they can't see us anymore.
Well, I'm not a MySpace guy. As I don't know if it's music or not. So I'm still Google Plus all the way. I don't do Facebook. I'm pigeonholing myself into Google Plus.
Me too. I like it the best out of all of them.
Yeah, the reason I don't like Facebook is I see a continued disrespect for privacy and for the user experience. I dislike the way they disrespect their users, and so I don't like to invest there.
Speaking of disrespecting users, we got this comment from Margie, and I'm curious to hear people's take on it. Popular people, nobody's communities. The popular people will get more popular. The other folk will stay unknown. What do you guys think? Do you think that's going to be a reality when it comes to the new communities, Jeff?
I think some people put a lot of thought into posting and they don't get recognized. I think there's people well thought out posts, and then you have someone with a picture of a cat saying God's dead. That's good, or something stupid, and it makes the big time. So it's kind of weird.
I think that's been part of the ghost town criticism for all this time. Do you think communities are going to break past that though?
I think it has an opportunity to. I think you can shine if you want to in the community. I think that you have the ability of doing that and get part of and it'll bring down the noise level a little bit.
Well,
perhaps.
Cool. Communities, like when I saw communities forming, I realized, great, I don't have to be the one to form them and moderate them. Let other people do the work. You know what I mean? You don't have to be the one in charge. It's a team effort.
Well, but let me ask you, Monica, how many other online forums, communities, whatever you want to call them, have you been part of? That's not a leading question. That's a straight up question.
Since the internet started?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'd have to take time to think about this.
Okay, so
I'll jump in there.
I've been on since I was literally 14 years old.
So a lot. Yeah. And Jeff, you've said you've been on a bunch of forums.
Yeah, forums seems to be my taste, and that's why I like Google Plus. It's more forum-like to me because it's more informational.
Jeff and I, let me make a relevant point here. Jeff and I met in a forum, Alan. We met in the Telestream Wirecast forum.
Okay.
Exactly.
Where I'm going with this is...
Are you talking about Usenet or?
I'm talking about forums in general. Where I'm going with this is on all of these forums, and at every forum I've been on, moderators tend to fall into two camps. They're the great people who have a great purpose. They're dedicated to what you're talking about, and they love the subject so much that they become moderators on that subject. And very rapidly, they burn out from all of the moderation tasks. They get crushed under the weight of everything that needs to be done, and eventually they hate the group. That's type 1. Type 2 is the person who doesn't really care all that much about the subject, but somehow they ended up being as part of this forum anyway. 9 times out of 10, they're the spouse of somebody else, and they're part of the forum and they become moderators because they like the power. They don't care about the subject. They just like enforcing the rules. And I see Monica nodding vigorously. And I see Jeff nodding a little. So it sounds like these are...
Those are two categories. I actually formed a forum, and I was a moderator, and I had other moderators. And we don't moderate. We just stop spam. That was the thing. We stopped spam. We didn't moderate discussion. So that was another way of handling it. And we just let it whatever happened. So that's another way of doing it as well.
Right. I guess my concern about any community, and this is probably true in communities in real life too, in the physical space too, is that you're going to get these various types of people, and that's going to make or break a community in some level.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Monica, and then I want to get to some more comments.
I think that's true. There's always the struggle for power.
But like, we formed a tech and coffee community, right? And they have 13 moderators on the community. That's a big number. So no one's really going to get burnt out on moderations because it's shared, among a lot of people. So, anyways, that's my point. That's it.
Okay. I want to change gears just a little bit. We've been talking about communities kind of as if they were a little bit isolated, that they weren't working on anything else before. A lot of people are trying to make the comparison to Facebook groups. We have this comment from Margie. Facebook groups are actually good. They just don't have the categories.
Also, let folks know what app you're using, Alan, to show these comments.
I'm using the app called Hangout Toolbox, which is one of the recommended apps as part of Hangouts. Specifically, I'm using a component made by Gervin Stroom, whose name I probably just mangled again, which is based on his earlier program called Hangout Comment Tracker. What it lets us do is take comments from all of your posts on Google+, all of your posts on YouTube, and we can bring them into, so we can follow them as part of the Hangout and share as many as we can on the screen every night.
Ellen, how do you share them?
Click on the little eye. If you hover over one of the posts, you click on the eye, that'll pop it up over your screen.
Mine got stuck, Alan. I don't know what the deal is, but mine got stuck.
Yours blinked.
Yeah, it says I hate hashtags. It's stuck there, so I had to go to the standalone. But it's a great app. Yeah, it's fantastic. And these guys have spent a lot of time, making this thing. But anyway, go ahead. You got more comments?
Yep. Oh, God, do we have more comments.
Please, proceed.
So one of the things that I particularly had an issue with, that I think one of the things when I started looking at communities on Google+, I was really excited because I was thinking about it in terms of, this is great. We're going to be taking the concept of a community and throwing every single Google resource at it. So you're going to have communities that have access to Play. You're going to have communities that have access to YouTube, that have access to Drive and Docs and spreadsheets and photo albums. And all of these things are going to come together around a community. You're going to have community calendars. You're going to have all of these things. And to me, my mind was literally just leaking out my ears.
What? I love that.
Okay, so it's figuratively leaking out my ears. But, all the great concepts. And almost none of that exists. And we kind of get that with this comment from Margie. There's no photo section. There needs to be a photo section, a file section. There's no integration with Google Drive. Nope, sorry, that was... So, it's easy to check your sidebar. You can group chat amongst the group. You can share files. You can check your photos. All of that stuff is part of a group. It's part of what some groups do. So, for example, if you're talking about... Hey, Michael, can I have a slice?
Sure.
So if you're talking about a group at college, if you're talking about a college club, that's where they can put the they can draft the flyers that they're working on for the next meeting. That's where they can organize their files and keep their agendas. If I've set up a group for a project that I'm working on at work, I can, give access to the other coworkers that I have and have them have access to my code, to my support files, to all of the various things that Google does. It's not even like Google doesn't do this stuff. They do it. I just can't integrate it easily with my group, with my community. And that's massively frustrating with me.
Well, it is only day 2, and but those things will happen. Look at Hangouts, like what Monica said earlier, that if you click start a Hangout in a community, it sends invite to the entire community. So that's one thing that is working.
I will grant that. That is one, and integration with events is also working. There is a special events tab, and that's great. That's wonderful. I am thrilled about that. Those are things that I will readily admit they got right. My concern, though, Jeff, is that for a product that as a whole is advertised as the over-encompassing social layer for all of Google, they picked some very, very small parts for this initial rollout.
Yeah, but I think you'll probably see that they'll be rolling other aspects out as it comes.
I don't know. Part of me is cautiously optimistic. Part of me is optimistic that they will, and part of me just kind of looks at that and goes, it's been 18 months and they can't even get Blogger integration to work correctly.
You're stuck on Blogger, man.
I am not only stuck on Blogger.
I'm stuck on the phrase
Here we go again.
cautiously optimistic is what I'm stuck on.
I mean,
I'm glad you're cautiously optimistic.
But here's the thing. They did wonderful, wonderful integration of the rest of Google Plus with Gmail. And then they botched it almost with this integration. When Google Groups has really good integration with Gmail and email. So it's not even like, so don't tell me that communities are based off Google Groups.
It works the same way.
It works
other than the email aspect, it works the same way.
Other than what about the starring? Okay, other than the email and the starring, it works. Oh, and the subjects. Other than the email, the starring, and the subjects, that's exactly. Come on.
It's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing. Oh, yes. So we're now down to it's better than nothing.
You know what? It's awesome, and it's awesome in the same way that Google Now is awesome, where you can do a search.
Let's talk about searches. Hold on. Talk about searches.
Hit me back in a sec. I can go on Chrome, and I can go to Google, and I can say, give me directions to Dulles Airport, or I can say, I want tickets to the Lakers game. How do I get them? And then when I get in my car an hour later,
other news,
it'll tell me that it'll pop up automatically with a card. Here's driving directions to the stadium where the Lakers are playing, or to Dulles Airport, and they're going to do the same thing with communities. They know everything you're interested in. Craig is interested in knives and guns and stuff like that, and I'm interested in Wirecast and things like that, and they're going to find all these things. I think it's a terrific discovery engine, and they're capitalizing on their biggest asset, which is the data. They know everything about us. And I got to go to Michael here, who is how do you order this stuff? Because you're like 2 hours into a hangout, and you got pizza going, you got a big soda. Do you order online or what?
It's the power of online commerce.
So you're ordering your pizza online.
I sure did.
I can't hear Dan. I can hear.
Hello?
I think everyone else.
We can hear you fine, Dan. That's weird.
I can hear Dan.
Yeah, I can't hear Dan. I mean, obviously you guys can hear him because you're interacting with him, and I can obviously see Dan's mouth moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. But I'm gonna try and rejoin.
Okay.
All right. A rare technical glitch for Anthony.
Yeah, because we have none of those.
Right.
So
he must be using a Chromebox, Alan.
So let's talk about search, Dan. Let's talk about search.
And Google Now.
And group and communities. Okay? I tried doing a search today from the top search bar. The thing that's at the top of the page. As if, I was like trying to find communities to join.
Right.
And I typed in, I don't even remember I think I typed in photography. And I was pointed to a whole bunch of pages and people. And this is in the drop-down that immediately came down. And when I hit return, I was pointed to a whole bunch of pages and people. In order to actually
but did you go to the community page and then search there?
Why would I do that? I'm a brand new user. I'm looking for something to do. Okay? Here's once again, this is like they kind of took this concept and just slapped it onto the side of Google Plus without actually thinking about integrating it.
Are you implying that Google has
they do that with everything?
I think Alan is implying that Google has a UI issue.
No, they don't. What they do is they put stuff out there and fix it on the fly.
where on the fly is defined as maybe we'll get around to it in 6 or 12 months.
What's the alternative, though, Alan? Seriously,
the alternative is you think about these things.
But then it won't be
the
out.
Alternative is what Facebook does. The alternative is what Facebook does, and then they end up pissing everybody off.
Dan,
it's not that they don't think about them. It's that they don't talk about them. I have a feeling that they just don't talk. Sometimes it's all
amongst themselves.
Amongst themselves, I think they may not talk a lot.
I think we had that conversation before, right, Alan?
Yeah,
right.
But here's the thing. It's not even like the communities aren't searchable. If you go to the communities page, as Pam points out, there is a search box there. So they have 2 search boxes. What the hell? Do
the search boxes do the same thing?
Yes.
Sometimes here's how I picture Google. Like I think if you are, and now I'm going to be geeky as hell. I'm going to make a Harry Potter reference, but this is the only way I know how to describe it. I picture it as Hogwarts, where like there's tons and tons of really cool stuff, and it's really kind of awesome and magical because it's built by people with amazing technological powers and tons of free time and tons of skills. But it doesn't really all add up all the time, and like there's secret passageways to nowhere, and sometimes there's just like, you know what I mean? Like there's tons of crap. Like there's a room of requirement that can like give you anything you need, but like it doesn't all add up. Like there's dead ends and doorways into nowhere, and like Dumbledore's the only one who knows what's going on, and even he sometimes doesn't know what's going on.
Okay, I just want to get these because I always like when we see posts like this. Alan is
you were
100%
a Harry Potter
correct.
Fan, that would have blown your mind. I don't know if anybody is.
No, I got it. It's a good analogy. It's as good as the towel analogy before. No, it's a good point. I mean, there's a lot going on, and some of them are mysteries, and we're not privy to all of the mysteries. It's just sometimes in this case the search on, and people were asking about this in chat, the search on the communities page takes you directly to the search result, the same search results you would get if you typed it in at the top and selected communities. So it's not even like they didn't think to add the feature, they just didn't think to, I don't know what they, it's just one of those frustrating things.
All right, let's do this. Alan, why don't you go through any comments that you want to highlight, and then
that's what we've been doing bit by bit.
Then we'll do our final thoughts, and then we'll end the broadcast and stuff, and then we'll throw the Hangout open to public.
Okay.
And cross our fingers.
So we've got, I mean, I don't want to say that I hate communities, because I don't. I just think there's so much work that they need to do to make them good. But for example, John points out a really good point. With communities, we have common interests, and I'm adding people again. That's big. Margie is concerned on the other hand. Google Plus will become a place where people will just pop into a few of their favorite communities, and they will not use the stream as much. That's okay. Yep. If you find your tribe, you're doing good. I think that what we're going to start seeing, we've already started seeing a little bit of it this evening, is we're going to start seeing some of that stuff showing up in your stream. You need better controls. There needs to be good ways to do it. You need that thing that's going to constantly be pulling you back into communities. And this is what Fraser was concerned about earlier, and I agree with him. Because otherwise, you're going to show up, you're going to see nothing in your stream, you're going to forget that a community is there completely, and you're not going to go to it. From George, I learned to judge new Google Plus features by 2 criteria. Alan hates it. I don't hate it. Let's be perfectly clear. I love the feature, and I can't wait until they actually implement it. And 2, people on Dan's show argue about it passionately. When that happens, the new feature is good. The new feature is good. Like I said, as soon as Google Plus implements this new feature, I'm going to be right there with it. George Cozy.
Alan, I have to tell you, you remind me very much of a teacher that I had in high school. And the teacher basically was like, he would take the position like, I hate everything. Prove to me like why this doesn't suck. And like then we would have to get passionate about it and be like, well, it doesn't suck because of this and blah 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 blah. And sometimes you do take that position, you have to admit it. You're smiling, you admit it.
Oh, he totally does. He totally
Alan's
does.
a grouch.
Hey, Alan, I found something that works just for you. I mean, I was just on the stream. I just happened to glance over here, and I found this perfect community for you. It's the anti-community.
Yeah, clear that quickly.
Yeah.
Don't forget the everything with any big company will fail community for Craig.
All right.
We've got more comments. We've got more
go ahead. I'm
comments.
sorry. Go ahead.
Just a few more, really. George comments, I'm not on Google Plus for popularity. I'm here for self-expression and conversation. Popularity is talking at people, not with them. And George, that's why you're part of our community.
All the cool people follow George Cozy.
Love you, George.
Kevin, I hope somebody sent you the link to All My Plus, where you could get the standalone version. Again, you can follow Gervin because it's truly awesome. Next week we'll be featuring some more of Gervin's apps. George kind of asked me, what would stop you from making a public Google Calendar for your community? Nothing, of course, but at the same time, what would stop me from, making a Facebook calendar for my Google Plus community? Nothing except for the fact that it's stupid! I mean, we're trying to make tools that work well together. And that's what this Google Plus, the whole Plus thing, is all about, is making these really, really awesome tools that work really, really well together. And when they don't work really well together, it just shows how much Google doesn't get it yet. And sometimes I truly think it's that they don't get it yet. I don't think that's
he's harsh.
You make me groan like 3 times a night. I mean, not like that though. But you know what I'm saying.
I know, but Jeff. Really, here's the thing, and we'll get into this more later. There are major aspects of the Google Plus integration across Google's product lines that you just have to look at and go, man, whoever did this integration doesn't understand what Google Plus is about. And honestly, there are times that I think that communities are part of that category. Because it seems like they went and they took a concept and they just slapped it on the side of Google Plus and didn't actually think about how people use Google Plus, how they want to use Google Plus, or what features are currently part of Google Plus.
All I got to say is I harken back to when Hangouts first started, right? And it was like, this is... there's all these bad things about it, but look how far it has gone, right? And in a short period of time. I'm saying it takes time for them to fine tune it because yes, they put it out there because it was something that they did for themselves and they thought it was a good tool. And I think that this is part, again, this is something they're putting out there and they will fine tune it.
But is Hangouts really a good example? Because
why
Hangouts, not? I'll tell you why not. Hangouts was just like a throwaway feature that they kind of slapped on top of Google Plus, and then they realized that people were extremely excited about Google Plus. So Hangouts moved from right here on their priority list to off the charts as far as priority goes.
Right.
So I don't know if Hangouts is really a good example because
but why
communities they know where. I think at this point they know where they want to prioritize communities, and unless they explode, I don't think that you really can compare communities or really any other feature of
they
Google
are
Plus
going to
explode. Yeah, see, it's another social. It's a social thing more than the brand page was.
Right,
social,
but they want
right?
they want communities to explode, so they're going to put the same amount of effort in it today as next week, basically. Whereas Hangouts, they were going to put basically no effort into it, and next week they realized that they need to put a huge amount of effort into it.
Yeah, but my point is they brought it from here, like you said, to here. I think they will do the same with communities. They'll bring it from here up to here.
The problem, though, Jeff, is with Hangouts, everyone else in the industry was here already. So Hangouts started around where everyone else was. When it comes to forums, everyone else is way up there already.
Yeah.
And forums on Google Plus are nowhere.
But forums don't have maximum capacity as Google Plus. I mean, I don't know if a forum has that many members.
Well, depending on the
some
forum.
do. Yeah.
I'm using the term forum generically.
So even though I made the argument that I did, I think that Jeff, to a large extent, is right. And the reason I would say that is because I feel that Google likes to dog feed their products to people that are not their employees. I think that Google likes to test the software to a larger extent than most companies would on their users. And I mean, I don't know what Google plans to do with communities in today compared to the future, or in the future, whatever. But I feel that Google likes to test the software in very beta stages and advance it.
I think that's true to some extent. I think what keeps getting me though is you kind of if you kind of approach it in the sense of they kind of the feeling I get is that they said, if we ignored Google Plus, what would forum software? How would we start to look at forum software? And that's where they started. And they said, okay, now that we have this, let's just kind of stick it onto Google Plus, and we'll refine it from there. Where I think the approach they should have taken, or that I think would have given us something better and more Google Plus-like from the beginning, is how do we extend Google Plus to support forums? I think that's kind of the different approach. So I agree with you on some sense. I know it's early. I know we don't have everything yet. But I feel like they just came at it from the wrong angle. We have we have 2 comments left. 2 comments, really. That's going to be it. And we have had so many comments in this, I have to apologize that we didn't get to all of them. But first, a question for Dan and I. John is asking, why is there no Google Plus Week community?
Oh, we're going to have to do that, yeah. Because it's a day old, we're trying to figure out how, like for example, I was trying to figure out, because you can start a hangout in a community. Should we start it there? Or we're trying to figure it out. And
I think one of the things that we're going to turn to you and say, and please give us your feedback, what do you expect from a Google Plus Week community? Because remember, the big thing about a community are the people in the community. So are you going to expecting to be proposing topics to us for the entire week? Are you going to be expecting this is where you're going to tune in to see Dan announcing when the show starts, what our topics are, what our final topics are, when when we post it up on YouTube? What are you expecting from such a community? Because until we have that good idea, we're not sure what it's going to look like.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like we need 2. We need a private community for the panel.
Yes.
And we need a public
community. So we can get a hold of Dan.
Yeah, because the 70
we had
noise level.
Yeah, I had technical glitches. Okay, so all right, you had one more comment, and then we
have a final comment, and I think this is going to be the Dan-esque conclusion from George Cozy. So we all agree, communities are a good thing, and while using it, we hate it because it's not how we imagined it to be. I would say that it's not just how we imagined it to be. Well, no, I'll go with that. Sure.
I think it's a fantastic advance, and I'm very excited about it. When I first heard about it last week or whatever, I was like, "This is going to be epic," and I saw it roll out, and there was a mixture of glitches and a mixture of
disappointments.
Not understanding exactly how to properly utilize it, and I don't think we've figured that out yet. We discussed that, but I think it's fantastic. It's huge. It is everything.
It's the social component of Google Plus.
That's
like
a really
I said,
scary way
met,
to push it, Jeff.
Jeff, we met in the Wirecast forum. What if there was a bustling forum with 1,000 users who use Wirecast on Google Plus, and if you have an issue, or Vegas, you just got Sony Vegas Pro, as I have, and used to edit video, What if you could post a quick tech support question like, guys, I don't know what to do here, and you could get competent people who are interested in that to respond to you very fast. What if your kid is in school and there's a community just for that class with just those 30 kids or whatever it is? What if there's a community about just the neighborhood you live in, 300 homes, the homeowners group? These are incredible. And what if Google, using its knowledge about everything you do on the web, when you log into Google Plus, they could suggest to you that, hey, you might want to join the Rappahannock Vineyards Homeowners Association community because it knows you've searched for that on Google. So I see this as huge, and making Google. Whoa. Wow.
That's 3 of us all clicking at once to mute Pam.
That's a simultaneous mute. I see this as Google, flexing its muscle, whatever, using its knowledge of everything you do, and down the road, shortly, they're going to get this thing to where it's going to suggest this, and it's going to be much more powerful. If someone in Yonkers, New York, to use that example again, logs into Google Plus for the first time, it's much more as exciting as Lady Gaga, Britney Spears, me, or whoever, it's more relevant for them that Yonkers, New York community show up, and so I'm excited about that. Okay, so let's go to I think I guess Sreek's gone, Pam is blacked out. Let me go to Michael first. Michael, any final thoughts on this wonderful Google Plus week?
I enjoy communities for the most part. There's a few things they need to fix. I know one thing I had issues with was this is just like a oversight on their part, I guess. But I joined a community, and it was one of those similar communities with the same names. So the owner of the community didn't want to be part of it no more. So owners can't delete a community. They can't get rid of it. They can't leave it unless there's another owner. So the smart person promoted me to moderator, then promoted me to owner, left, and I was stuck with it. I did not get an option to opt in or to accept becoming a moderator or an owner, but he had to make someone else an owner so he could leave it himself.
Owners can't delete?
Owners cannot get rid of the community. They cannot leave the community until there is another owner. He had to make me an owner and then leave, and it didn't give me an option. That's a huge oversight.
The documentation says that owners can delete a community.
Well, I couldn't get rid of it. I couldn't leave it until I made someone else an owner, which I did, and I left.
Okay.
That's like a strange parlor trick, isn't it?
Yeah.
Community here? You're talking about here?
Yes.
Like I said,
oh no, I can delete my community.
But no, I did not make it myself.
Oh.
The first person made me an owner, then he left.
I just wiped out one of my communities. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm supposed to.
Did you?
I did make it.
I did not make that community. He made me an owner and left.
No.
Like I said, it's probably an oversight.
Remember, I mean, look at Hangouts. When they first started, there was no broadcast feature, there was no recording feature. And look,
Michael, you're supposed to point at the community and then you say Avada Kedavra.
Absolutely. Another J.R. Tolkien reference.
No.
All right, final thoughts, Monica.
What?
Or I'm sorry. Oh my God, Janet.
Yeah.
Is it Janet? What's her first name?
No. Rowling.
Janet?
J.K. Rowling. What's her first name? It's not Janet, is it?
Joanne.
Joanne. What are your final thoughts, Monica?
My final thoughts are long, complex, and actually the night before Communities rolled out, I had a long, complex, and intricate dream in which I woke up and I wrote like a whole page of notes like about why there should be a feature like Communities. Then I woke up and they rolled out Communities, and I was like, sweet, I need to have more dreams like this that will be instantly fulfilled by Google.
Yeah, you need to do that more often.
Yeah, it was a little creepy. I did think like, wait a minute, how did this happen so fast? But overall, I'm very satisfied with the feature. I do wonder what else they're, like how did they get in my brain? But good job. Well done, Google.
Monica, a quick question before I go to Jeff. We talked earlier with Fraser Cain about whether or not a post to a public community should show up in your stream to your followers. What do you think about that?
Define your term. Show up in your stream to your followers, or show up in your profile posts, or what do you mean?
Well, they currently, on day one, they showed up. If Alan is a member of the football community, and he posts, and the football community is public. If Alan posts to that football community a post, then that would show up if someone went to your profile to look at your posts, but it would not appear in the stream of people who have circled you. Okay? If you are a member of the Google antagonistic recovery group private community, hypothetically speaking, then that would not show up if someone went to your profile.
I tend to dislike that, but I'm sort of the less information is better category. I tend to like a lot of control over what information I share. I don't know, like...
Should it be optional, or should it just not happen?
It should be optional.
I think so too. But again, they don't want, the fewer buttons they like. They don't make it too much. Thus the white space, which will eventually, I predict, be filled with Google AdWords. Jeff, final thoughts on this?
Final thoughts. This my own personal belief is, contrary to some other things. I think the communities will evolve quickly. Rather quickly. Within a couple months, you'll see a lot of different changes and more forum-like aspects to it as it evolves. So I'm a proponent of it. I don't have any, by the way. But I think they're going to do well. I think they're going to do extremely well.
Awesome. Anthony Clouser?
No final thoughts. I haven't really, not really would be a bad description, because I have not touched communities at all. I've received several invites and actually denied them all. Thank you, Pam.
Sorry.
But,
poor Anthony was accidentally in my hairy man circle.
Anthony, you should start. You should start a Wegmans employees community and make it private. Invite or you have to be approved to get in there, and you have to verify or whatever that you're an employee. That would be interesting if you could have a private community where you folks could talk to each other. Don't you think?
That would be real productive if I knew more than one person on Google Plus that works at Wegmans. So. And I don't even know the person. Honestly, I don't know the person that works at Wegmans. I just
there's only one other one,
Wegmans. Really? I don't know. None of my friends at work use Google Plus, so I'm sure there's more than one person in Wegmans that uses Google Plus, other than myself and her. But yeah, I don't know any other people.
So it's a she.
So it's proof that Google Plus is a ghost town.
Only among Wegmans folks, but. Alan, you want to any final comments you want to really hit on before we get your final thoughts? And then a reminder, we are I'll open this Hangout public once we get off the air, and
then you're in for it.
So check my profile, go public, and then we'll fill up and we'll talk to all sorts of interesting people. But go ahead, Alan.
No, I've honestly, when I first heard the idea of communities, it sounded so awesome to me, and I was picturing that Google Groups could go away, because they've got this horrible, horrible reputation. I've been asked, I had a friend of mine the other day had a problem with, I don't remember what the Google product was. And I pointed him at the community manager and I pointed him at the forum, and his reply was, why bother? Because I'm not going to get a reply and it's a pain in the ass to use. And I was really hoping that communities were going to be the solution to that. And maybe in 6 months or 12 months they will be, but not yet. And that's my final thought for the week. How about yours, Dan?
My final thought is I am excited about this. There are some things I'm trying to figure out. It's not so much bugs or quirks. It's more I'm trying to learn how to best utilize this new ability. I'm very excited about the prospect of communities leading toward more engagement, less of the ghost town problem. That is a legitimate criticism that we've discussed, and we'll be definitely addressing this in a week once things kind of settle down, because it's day 2 and they're still tweaking things. So we'll know more, and we will, as we always do, give you an unbiased analysis, especially from Alan.
Unbiased. Hey, I'm unbiased.
Unfiltered, I should say, unfiltered.
Calm, cool, collected.
Absolutely, calm, cool, collected.
You're
anyway,
absolutely not unbiased.
I want to thank you
You're
all.
right. You know what? No, Pam is right. I'm not unbiased. I am very, very biased towards Google. And that's probably why I am so freaking harsh on them when I see stuff like this come out.
We love
Well, and that's
Google.
why you remind me of my teacher in high school.
So it's tough love.
Tough love.
Tough love. All right, well, I want to thank you all. We are Google Plus Week. We are the longest running and best show on Google Plus. We are here every Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. And we just love it. We do it because you watch and you comment and we get to meet you. And we're going to get ready to do that. We're going to open up our Hangout. So look at my profile and I'll open up to public and get ready, click, and get on in. And some of these folks will be sticking around for a little bit to chat with you, and then we have our lives to proceed to, except Pam, who's just waiting. I'm just kidding, waiting for next Thursday.
No, I have my own page now.
Absolutely,
I've got 2 pages to moderate.
We need the Pam community. Anyway, I want to thank you all so very much for taking the time to watch our show and comment during the live program or afterward. And I want to wish all of you a wonderful Google Plus Week.